Well, the time has finally arrived. It's game one of the 2024 NECBL Championship Series. The Newport Gulls and the Sanford Mainers, the two teams that remain in the chase for the Fay Vincent Senior Cup. And it all gets started tonight here in Newport. Welcome into Cardines Field here on an overcast day in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm Sam Reese, and this is the Newport Gulls pregame show. We're just about set to get this best of three series underway. We got a whole lot coming up on the pregame show, but before that, let's take you back to how the Gulls got here and show you those highlights from a Game 2 victory over the Bristol Blues a couple nights ago at Muzzy.
Welcome back to the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Ryan Daniel, joined by Gulls outfielder Andrew Duncan. Andrew, it's been an amazing postseason run for you, hitting 10 for 19 to start off the postseason. The best we've seen you hit all year. What went into this transformation we've seen since the All-Star break?
You know, just being more aggressive at the plate and just looking for pitches over the plate. I mean, these guys are going to make mistakes, and you just got to capitalize on those mistakes.
Let's go back to that triple back in the first game of the playoffs against Valley. That ball hit the fence. You were standing rounding first base, and then all of a sudden I blink my eyes and you're on third base. What was it that you just allowed you to turn on the afterburners, look like Noah Lyles out there?
I don't know. As soon as I saw the ball hit the wall, I was like, there's no way this guy's going to get me out at third, because I saw him kind of lost out there. I was like, I'm just going to try and get three right here, and it happened. So.
Speaking of runners being thrown out, you've actually caught a runner on the base pass here in the postseason, and it seems as if we've seen several teams now almost be hesitant to run on you. What lights up in your eyes when you see those runners trying to get that extra base and you know you have a chance to throw them out?
Well, to be honest, it's like I don't know why they're running, so I'm going to just make a good throw and my guys will put the tag down, so that's about it.
Yeah, they will, as they say from the dugout. Randy laughing along with us. A very happy Gulls team here pregame. Speaking of things that are made us happy, one of the most exciting moments of this season was Colby Holcomb getting drafted. Today we got some more news about him. He's going to Single A Dunedin. That's your hometown.
Yeah, I saw
What's
that.
your advice for Colby living down in Dunedin?
You know, man, just keep doing big things and have fun, and, you know, get close to God and he'll take you far. So just keep doing your thing, all right?
Well, this Gulls team's going to try and keep doing their thing. They're 2 wins away from a championship. 6:35 first pitch here at Cardines. Before that, we're going to take a short break.
The time has just about finally come. Game one of the 2024 NECBL Championship Series. Just two teams remain in the chase for the Fay Vincent Senior Cup, the Newport Gulls and the Sanford Mainers. We got game one of this best of three series coming up tonight here in Newport. Welcome in to Cardines Field. I'm Sam Reese, and we're getting you set for this championship series as the Gulls attempt to make it back-to-back NECBL titles. We have a whole lot coming up on this pregame show to get you set, but before that, let's quickly rewind and take you back to a couple of nights ago and show you those highlights of the Gulls taking down the Blues at Muzzy Field to get here. Welcome back into the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Sam Reese, now joined by pitching coach of the Gulls, Kevin Long. Coach Long, always great to be joined by you, and it's championship time. We're just about ready for game one of the series against the Mainers. First question I'll ask you is, does this bring a lot of memories back in terms of getting that adrenaline rush when you were on the coaching staff for your first stint and playing in a few of these championships and winning it all?
This is what the kids work for, to have that opportunity to play in postseason play when it's very meaningful and a lot on the line. And the kids are excited. They should be. They've earned it, and here we go.
Here we go. We're just about ready, closing in on first pitch slowly but surely. And I want to talk about that pitching as well. In this postseason in particular, it seems like in the bullpen in particular, a lot of arms have stepped up in a big way. A lot of names. You got Michael Kovala. You got Drew DeLucia doing his thing. You had Nick Dorito the other night. Adam Walker in that list. Campbell Holt has become the go-to closer, it seemed like. What can you attest to the number of guys who have stepped up in a big way when it's mattered the most in this postseason?
Well, we've had a lot of pitchers leave.
Right.
Okay, when pitchers leave, that presents opportunity to people. And I firmly believe that opportunity changes everything. And, you need to seize opportunity to be successful, and that's what these guys are doing. I mean, those guys that you just rattled off, you know, that they're all doing it. They're all excited, and most importantly, they're playing for their teammates. They're unselfish guys, and they've worked hard, and they've earned the right to go out and pitch and do this.
Right, and we've seen guys like Drew DeLucia, Michael Kovala go over 4 innings to in some instances close out games. Was that the strategy kind of coming into this postseason, or is that sort of how it's played out and a testament to the job those guys are doing?
You know, competition brings out the best in people. And DeLucia, it's brought out his competitive spirit and his desire to win a game for his teammates.
Yeah.
And Kovala got better, you know, as the season progressed, and he developed a really quality changeup. And his arm speed is almost as good as his fastball, so it's really hard to gauge it. And he's got a good differential in speed, and speed kills, you know, either on the high end or the low end. And Kovala's got a great differential between his fastball and his changeup.
Sure, and I want to go back quickly to that Game 2 to punch their ticket into this championship round. A couple nights ago in Bristol, you put Nick Dorito in out of the bullpen. He was listed before the game as the next game probable. So first off, was that the case where originally you thought if there was a Game 3, you'd go to Nick as the starter for that game? And second part to that question, by putting him in, was that kind of you and manager Mike Coombs saying, we're going to get the job here and get the sweep done tonight?
Well, I think you hit all the probables, okay? And Mike and I had some lengthy discussions, and basically what it boiled down to is we both agreed that Dorito matched up real well with them. And also, too, you know, I ran into the bullpen before the game, and I told them we're going to burn all the ships. Yep. Okay, we're going to win today. All right, so get your act together and be ready to go when you come out of the pen.
And how important was it to now have back-to-back sweeps in the opening 2 rounds, just to, in particular yesterday, get that off day of rest before a championship game rather than having to potentially play what would have been a decisive Game 3 last night here?
Well, you know, you want to win every game when you're in postseason, and you got to do what you have to do in order to win. And it's important to the players that, as coaches, our job is to put the team into a position to win. And if you have players that can go out there and affect the win in a positive way, then you do it. Okay, and that's what Coach Coombs brings years of experience.
Sure.
He knows this league inside and out. He knows these players really well, and he collects all that data and input from his coaches, and he makes quality decisions.
And one last question for you, Coach Long, looking ahead to today's Game 1. It's Aiden Coleman, your ace, starting on the mound tonight. Of course, it maybe wasn't the playoff opener that he wanted to have on the mound. So how big of a chance is this for him for a bounce back opportunity? And I'm sure he's ready to go and excited for this opportunity as well.
Aiden Coleman is a 19-year-old young man with, he's an intense competitor, and he realizes he didn't have his best game out.
Sure.
And he chatted with me yesterday, and he told me, he said, listen, I learned a lot in that game. I learned a lot, and I'm going to bring it to this game.
You love to hear that if you're the pitching coach.
I like to do more listening than telling.
I like that. I like that. You heard it right here. Aiden Coleman ready to go, making the start tonight. I appreciate the time, as always, Coach Long. We'll be back in a moment with more on the Gulls pregame show, building up to Game 1 of the 2024 Championship Series.
Welcome back to the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Riley Daniel, and I'm joined by the master of the splitter himself, Nick Dorito. Nick, how are you today on Game 1 of the Championship Series?
Feeling good, ready to go, ready to get a dub.
I think it's very hard to argue with the fact that it would be very tough for us to be here in this Championship Series without your performance the other night at Bristol. Can you walk us through what it was like when you got that call from the pen, knowing you had been the projected starter for a potential Game 3, but were called in to save Game 2?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I told Coach I was ready to go if needed. The plan was for me to start the next game, but, you know, that's a must-win game right there. Winning 2 instead of having to play a third is really big. So, you know, it's kind of just laying it all on the line and be willing to be flexible with the rotation.
Speaking of laying it all on the line, there was that really unfortunate play that led to a run where it was hit off your ankle, and it seemed for a moment as if it was going to be a question of whether or not you were going to continue, and then you just shrugged them off. What was going through your head when that happened?
Just got to battle through it, you know. So I just kind of wore it and gotta tap into that inner mentality and just fight through it.
Speaking of fighting, it's been 2 really great performances from you back-to-back. That performance at Bristol and then that last start of the regular season against Mystic. What was going through your head on that last start? Because it was the best we've seen you pitch all season.
You know, just getting comfortable out there and getting into a groove and really just feeling my stuff. You know, my stuff plays really well, and, you know, I'm feeling my best when I just am comfortable on the mound and just feeling a little bit better.
Speaking of comfort, there's got to be a sense of comfort with this Gulls team, especially with such familiarity with some of your teammates. I'm thinking guys like Nico Brini, who you grew up with.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, the Gulls are just coming out, and we're just a little bit better every day.
How has this journey been? Because this was a team that was 500 through the first 3-4 weeks of the season, but since the start of the month of July has only lost 3 home games here at Cardines. It seems as if every time you guys take the field here at Cardines, you guys are almost unbeatable.
Yeah, just bringing the energy. You know, I think we're a really tight group, and we just kept growing as the summer went on. And it's something that, you know, being at home, we want to show up for the fans, always getting a packed crowd, so I wanted to show up for them and get a win.
Speaking of that packed crowd, the last 2 home games against Valley and against Bristol here in the postseason have felt electric, something different here at Cardines. Is there a message you want to give to the fans as they fill in to Cardines in a matter of minutes here?
Yeah, let's pack the house and go Gulls.
Well, that's a great message. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the Newport Gulls pregame show rolls right along.
Welcome back into the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Sam Reese, now joined by seasoned veteran at this point with the Gulls, Tyler Hare. Tyler, I mentioned it there, but it is your second year with the Gulls. You're one of 4 returners for this team.
Big night for T. Hare tonight, Sam.
You heard it right here. Big night for T. Hare. Take me through just the adrenaline rush you kind of get being back in the championship with this team and going for all the marbles once again.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a special group this year. We had a special group last year. Just being able to make it back here for the 2nd straight year is a testament in itself. You know, if we just come out here and do what we've been doing, I think everything will take care of itself.
And you mentioned it, you know, great group of guys all clicking at the best time. Do you feel like that's the case too, where this postseason really, I mean, it was like that throughout the regular season where everyone was contributing in a big way, but it seems like that's especially true here in the playoffs, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but it seems like, you know, every bullpen arm stepping up. I feel like it's been a full team effort here to ultimately get you guys to this stage riding into the finals with a 4-0 record this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, seeing every guy having a ready-up mentality, it's just a really good feeling to have going into every game, knowing that every guy's going to be ready to go, whether their name is called or not. Everybody's ready and everybody's, you know, wanting to compete. So it's just a great feeling to have going in this championship series.
And after you had game 1 of the playoffs off, you've played every game since then. Some good contact as well in that game at Muzzy. I'm sure you might have been having flashbacks of your home run in the championship. You hit one pretty far out to right field that I think would be gone here at Cardines. So how have you been feeling in terms of your confidence at the plate?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Confidence up there. Seeing the ball well right now, hitting the ball good. So as long as we can keep that up, I think we'll be all right.
And one last question for you, Tyler. Just heading into this championship series, for you as one of the few guys who was a part of that championship winning team last year, how are you kind of embracing that role as one of those guys that knows what it takes to get it done? And what is kind of your message here to your teammates in terms of going all out and getting the job done and making it back-to-back titles?
You know, just don't leave anything out there. We've got a good group of guys from last year on this team that have helped lead the way and helped set the standard for this team. So I think we're in a good spot, and I think we're all confident.
All right, thanks so much for the time as always, Tyler. That's Tyler Hare for the Gulls, who was a member of that championship-winning team last year, hoping to do it again this season. We'll be back in a moment for more on the Gulls pregame show. Make sure you stay tuned. Back here on the Newport Gulls pregame show, we're inching closer and closer to first pitch in Game 1 of the championship series between the Newport Gulls and the Sanford Mainers. As you can tell, a bit overcast, but it should be perfect playing conditions for baseball on an uncharacteristically chilly August evening with temperatures in the high 60s. That's perfect baseball weather in my book. We're inching closer and closer to that first pitch between the Gulls and the Mainers as Newport tries to make it back-to-back NECBL titles. If you want to watch the game, you can do so over on ESPN+. First pitch slated for 6:35. That's all, however, for the Gulls pregame show here on the Newport Gulls Broadcast Network. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Sam Reese, saying so long. Well, the time has finally arrived. The stage is set. Game 1 of the 2024 NECBL Championship Series is here as the Newport Gulls welcome in the Sanford Mainers for the first game of a best-of-3 championship series here in Newport. Welcome to Cardines Field alongside Riley Daniel and Sanford broadcaster Justin Chevalella. I'm Sam Reese. We're up here in the booth as the players get ready for first pitch as the introductions wrap up. It's the Gulls looking to win back-to-back NECBL titles and make it 8 total for the franchise, the most in the league. But Sanford stands in the way, and it's been a little bit since they've been in the championship. 2016 is the last time the Mainers have been on this big stage. Welcome into the broadcast booth. We thank you so much for joining us as just 2 teams remain in the chase for the Fay Vincent Senior Cup. And I'll go to you first, Justin, on the topic of Sanford. I mean, both teams here coming in with a whole lot of momentum, 4-0 in the playoffs. But for the Mainers in particular, they've been unbelievable with an unreal win streak to end the regular season, then taking down the best team in the league in a sweep.
Yeah, they've taken 15 of their last 16 games. The only loss was on the final day of the season, and that game didn't matter for either of the two sides. So, you know, you saw some things you might not see in a meaningful game like we've seen since then. But they sweep Keene, who they had their number all season, 9-1 against the Swamp Bats this year, and then on to the Vermont Mountaineers, the #1 seed in the NECBL, and they had to battle back in both of those games against the Mountaineers. They also had to battle 7 different weather-related delays in that series, and a suspension of a game thrown in there as well, but they continued to stick together as one team and just take things one inning, one batter, one pitch, and one moment at a time.
So the Mainers hoping to play spoiler here in Newport for game 1. The Gulls the 2 seed, the Mainers the 4 seed. That's why Newport has the home field advantage. And Newport, another team that's been absolutely rolling. Really everything seems to be clicking for the Gulls this postseason.
It does. It feels as if the things that were weaknesses, such as the bullpen, have really become strengths. And yeah, they've been great, but where they've been especially great, this Gulls team, in the last month, is at home. The only team to win a game here at Cardines in the last month, other than the Gulls, the Ocean State Waves. There is no one who made the playoffs who has won a game here since June. That is how dominant this team has been on home field, and they're going to have to defend it today because we've talked about it in the pregame, we've talked about it before. This is a league in which the team that wins the first game of the championship more often than not is going to walk away with it, and oftentimes in a sweep. So this very well could be a deciding game for game 1 of a championship series.
Well, it's 2 red-hot teams squaring off tonight in game 1 of the championship series. The sun has peeked out a little bit after an overcast day for the most part here in Newport. Every series this postseason has actually been a sweep, and the last 7 championship series in the NECBL have been sweeps. On paper, Justin, it does feel like, though, that this has the potential to be a real competitive series just with the nature of how both of these teams are playing.
You have the Newport offense, which has been dominant from start to finish, and a Sanford offense that has started to get going over this recent hot stretch. It's going to be an offensive series at that.
All right, we'll step aside for a quick moment here on ESPN Plus. We've got first pitch coming your way from Newport after a break. Well, there you see it on your screen, the fans filing into Cardines Field by the second, really. This place continues to get more and more packed. Nothing like championship baseball here in Newport as the Gulls are set to take on the Mainers in Game 1 of the championship series, a best of 3. The Gulls, the 2 seed, the Mainers, the 4 seed. Both teams, as mentioned, 4-0 in this postseason. And as a result of those sweeps that we saw in the last round, both of the teams also got yesterday off. So the anticipation's been building for this, Riley.
It has, and it's a great thing for the objective supporter in that because of those extra days off, both teams are throwing their aces tonight. You're going to see the best and the brightest available arms. You're going to see fresh bats, fresh legs, and you want nothing less for a championship series. There's going to be no one who said, oh, if only we had that guy. Everyone, with a few exceptions of guys who pitched to end those 2 semifinal series, are available to help their teams out this week.
You see right there, Newport huddling up. They're wearing their white uniforms with blue numbers and orange outline. Meanwhile, Sanford wearing its traditional green colors with white numbers and yellow outline. The umpires meeting with the 2 managers. We see the Cal Randall backflip. That's become a staple of firing up this Gulls team. And we're almost ready for first pitch here at Cardines.
Yeah, this is championship environment. You can feel it the moment you walked into Cardines, the moment Sanford got off the bus. You could tell tonight was going to be special. The players are locked in on both sides, the coaches, and I can tell you this might just be the biggest crowd that Sanford has seen all season long.
Cardines has been sold out so far in this postseason. Haven't seen the official attendance numbers tonight, but would be hard-pressed to imagine anything otherwise on a gorgeous Wednesday evening here in Newport.
It really has. I mean, rain has been a big part of the conversation, especially for Sanford in that last series, and it was a potential that it would play a role today. The sun has peaked out. The baseball gods know that it's time for quite the spectacle. And there you see the man on the mound tonight for Newport, Aiden Coleman. Riley, it might not have been the start he wanted in Game 1 of this postseason against Valley, but outside of that, he's been dominant all summer.
Yeah, you can see the stats from his game against Valley with that 10.38 ERA, but realistically, that has been the only poor start of Aiden Coleman's entire summer. Tied for the league lead in wins in the regular season with 5, was in the top 5 in strikeouts with 38, and someone who the Gulls expect to return to form here today and really need to step up if they want a chance to win this game.
And this is just fitting, isn't it? As the sun continues to just beam out right in time for first pitch, the spotlight on Cardines Field. And for Sanford, Justin, obviously, let's get to Sanford in a moment. First, we're going to take a look at the rest of that Gulls defensive alignment. Take us through that, Riley.
Yeah, you got Nolan Stevens, Andrew Duncan, the best arm in the NECBL in center, Nico Bruni in right. In the infield, Dixon Williams, who almost made SportsCenter the other day, Randy Seymour, Jack Doyle, Tyler Hare in at first for Matt Austin Fort, Tyler Minnick going to do the catching, and of course we already talked about Aiden Coleman on the mound.
So no real surprises in the Newport lineup. The same can be said for the most part with Sanford. We'll get to their entire batting order in a moment as you see Tyler Minnick doing the catching behind home plate. That 3-catcher rotation still in effect for Newport throughout this offseason, and that's because all of them have been making big contributions this summer as Aiden Coleman gets his final few warm-up pitches in, and Sanford is getting ready to see its bats at the plate. Caleb Spur leading off. Take us through the rest of that batting order tonight, Justin.
Well, Jackson Tucker in center field will follow him. Colin Barcy moves up a spot. The big absence right now in Game 1, C.J. Willis not in Sanford's starting lineup. Barcy moves up a spot. Evan Sullivan jumps over Bade from 6. He goes into the cleanup spot and designated hitter. Devin Bade, the captain of the squad, bats 5th, and then the bottom 4 go Blake Schaff at shortstop, Ray Velasquez at first base, Corbin Lanowitz in the starting lineup for the first time this postseason, and Jared Davis, the second baseman, rounds out the order.
All right, the anticipation is seconds away from being over, and we're ready to play baseball in Game 1 of this best-of-3 championship series between the Newport Gulls and the Sanford Mainers. Aiden Coleman against Caleb Spur, and we are underway. A swing and a miss, strike one. First pitch at 6:41 on a chilly August night, temperature 67 degrees.
Cannot overemphasize how important a good start is for Coleman here.
His second pitch off speed again, and it paints the outside corner. The home plate umpire tonight is Jim Fonseca, a familiar name here at Cardines throughout the summer. 0-2 to Spur. The high cheese fouled back as Spur stays alive.
Coleman's tough start in that game against Valley to open up the postseason really never allowed him to get his footing. Gave up 5 runs in a blink of an eye. Was able to settle down, but never really got into the game.
Cranked to the right side, and that chips off the warehouse well into foul ground. There you see plenty of fans enjoying the game up on the balcony there. Great spot to watch here at Cardines. 0-2 again. Breaking ball fouled down the left side this time.
You're going to see a lot of this from Sanford. They can get to 2 strikes, but it's rare that they go down on the next pitch after they get to that 2-strike point. They foul off a lot of pitches. They take a lot of close borderline pitches that normally you might see get swung on and missed. This is a lineup that is going to make every pitcher work.
First ball thrown by Coleman.
Yeah, and that kind of builds into what you said, Justin. That was a pitch that oftentimes you can get a hitter to go chase at, but good take there from the leadoff man.
1-2 offering. Dips into the zone. Takes a bit of an awkward hop, but no problem for Randy Seymour. And he makes the throw in time to the cheers of this crowd, who's on the edge of their seat for every pitch with the stakes being so high. 1 up, 1 down.
And for the Gulls, you just know a ball hit at either of the 2 infielders on the left side, either Dixon Williams or Randy Seymour. If it's hit at them, they're going to make the play. There are really no errors that come from that side of the field here at Cardines.
That brings up Jackson Tucker, the right-handed batter out of St. John's. And he takes an 87-mile-an-hour pitch high, ball 1.
Go back to that at-bat of Spur. The one thing that you allow Jackson Tucker and the rest of the Mainers to see is the repertoire of Coleman on the mound. It was a productive out from Spur to lead off the ball game.
Coleman is someone with definitely a advanced array of off-speed stuff to work around.
And there it is. Tucker committed early, fouled off the pitch 1 and 2.
Unlike some of his teammates, say Cade Shotwell, not the fastest in terms of fastball velocity, but he can locate his stuff very well and has the ability to change things up on a dime.
And this one dips in, strike 3 called. On the inside corner, frozen was Tucker, and Coleman with 2 batters faced, 2 outs to his name, and the first strikeout as well.
Gorgeous pitch there. Fastball away with some arm side run, gets it in the back door, and could not ask for a better first 2 batters for Aiden Coleman.
Here now is Colin Barcy for the Mainers, who batted .387 in the regular season. He's 6 for 15 in this postseason, including a home run as he takes one inside, ball 1 at 88 miles an hour.
And some barking coming from the Gulls dugout after something was said by Fonseca to Coleman between the second and third batters.
1-0. Dips into the zone. Barcy didn't swing. It's now all even in this righty-on-righty matchup.
Barcy's been great at the plate, currently on a 18-game on-base streak. Make it 19 if you count in the All-Star game.
Why
this
not?
dude is just a professional, is what Nick Lops said to me the other day. One of the best hitters you will find in this league.
Aiden Coleman is dialed in right now. 1 pitch away from a 1-2-3 first.
And that would be a completely different story from his start in Game 1 of Round 1 against Valley, as he delivers the 1-2. Dips away from the zone, so all even to Colin Barcy. Evan Sullivan, the designated hitter, is on deck for Sanford.
Really like that pitch from Coleman. That's one that Barcy offered at twice in Game 2 against Vermont. Went down swinging both times on it.
What does Coleman deliver here? Goes in the zone, fanned on by Barcy. It's back-to-back Ks for Aiden Coleman. to get Newport off to a good start. A 1-2-3 first here in Game 1 of the championship. The emotions on full display here at Cardines. Back here in Newport, Rhode Island, we're ready for the bottom of the first inning. It's Game 1 of the championship series between the Newport Gulls and the Sanford Mainers. And for Aiden Coleman, Newport's ace on the mound, he rolled through the top of the order of Sanford with a 1-2-3 frame. And now countering him on the other side for the Mainers is Connor Ball as the lefty gets warmed up. What can you tell us about Ball, Justin?
Well, his first start of the postseason was possibly the best start the NECBL has seen in the postseason. 8 innings of shutout baseball against the Keene Swamp Bats. He picked up the win, allowed just 4 hits, 9 strikeouts to 2 walks, and that's what Connor Ball has done all season. He's limited the big damage. He did it against Keene in that first playoff start, and it's just a guy that locates so well. That was the difference maker. You saw plenty of his 9 strikeouts come looking. He's a guy that Nick Lopp said they gave the ball to on opening day and Game 1 of the postseason because of the confidence he eludes out there on the mound, and you expect it again here tonight as they give him the ball in Game 1 of the championship.
Connor Ball's 9 strikeouts in that appearance is tied for the second most of any pitcher in any given game these playoffs, only behind his teammate Tommy Ellison, who had 10 in his start. So that's who's on the mound for Sanford. Take us through the rest of that defense for the Mainers.
Well, left to right across the outfield, it's Corbin Lanowitz, Jackson Tucker, and Caleb Spurt. Third to first across the infield, Bade, Schaff, Davis, and Velasquez. And Colin Barcy is the catcher in what they like to call the CB battery. Colin Barcy, Connor Ball.
Love that.
It's a great way to phrase it.
Nico Brini, surprise, surprise, the leadoff hitter for Newport. That's been a given for the last several weeks now, and he rips the first pitch right through the middle, and that gets the crowd going. 1 pitch, and Brini's on base with a single.
And that's kind of indicative of where Nico Brini's been at since the All-Star break. Now 22 for 52, that's 415 with 9 RBIs, and really since he's gone to that leadoff spot, this Gulls offense has hit a different level, and part of that has to do with the guy who came into the 2 slot with that move of Brini to the top in Andrew Duncan.
And here is the aforementioned Andrew Duncan, the only player in these playoffs with multiple home runs. And he takes strike 1. And let's take a look at the entire batting order, Riley, for the Gulls.
Yeah, so we got Brini, Duncan, then Dixon Williams, league's best hitter, Nolan Stevens, Tyler Minnick, Tyler Hare, Jake Burley. Then, of course, finishing it out will be Randy Seymour and Jack Doyle.
1-1 on Andrew Duncan, who is batting 10 for 19 in these playoffs. A double, a triple, 2 home runs to his name as the fastball is up and away. He's been on fire, to say the least. And at the perfect time for Newport as well. Brini with about a 2-step lead over at first. The pitch on the way, and that finds the zone, according to Jim Fonseca.
And that's what he was doing against Keene. He was really working that outside to both hitters, whether they're righty or lefty. You see it here early in this lefty-righty matchup.
Duncan, a really good 2-strike hitter.
Here is the 2-2 pitch, just outside. Good eye from Duncan, and it's our first full count of the night.
Be interested to see if they were to send Brini here on the full count.
Swing and tipped as that dropped out of Barcy's handle. It looked for a moment like maybe he had a chance to snag it, but the redirection was too much for him to handle.
This one he'll tell you he wanted to have, that he's got to have. Now see if it gives Duncan new life.
Payoff pitch number 2. Slash to the right side, and that's well out of play.
And you mentioned it for the Mainers. The Gulls also a team very used to getting into 2-strike counts and then digging their way out of it.
We'll do the 3-2 once again. The pitch, lifted to left. Lanowitz, the left fielder, backing up, and he makes the catch as Brini was already basically on second. He has to sprint back over to first, and the first out recorded by Connor Ball.
Good piece there from Andrew Duncan, and it looked for a little bit like Lanowitz was having some trouble with the sun, but able to track it down in the end.
And Lanowitz, this is his first game that he starts. He's been coming in the 8th inning, usually 8th or 9th, whenever C.J. Willis gets his last plate appearance of the evening. And then Lanowitz comes in, plays a solid left field, and he made up and got that one.
Connor Ball now facing Dixon Williams, who lets it go for strike 1. Williams, the best batter in the league, a .390 batting average in the regular season. He's been just as, if not more, hot in these playoffs. 5 for 12, 7 RBI. 0-1. Sent foul. And going back to your point about Lanowitz, stat line you won't see often is that he's appeared in every single playoff game for Sanford, now 5 counting today, and has yet to record a plate appearance.
You had to check with me yesterday while you were doing your prep to make sure that was right.
I did shoot you a text.
He's taken his role as a professional, and Nick Lops loves that.
And Newport won't love Brini getting drilled on the, or rather Williams getting drilled on the arm. We hope he's all right here as that pitch just slipped out of the hand of Ball. Manager Mike Coombs heading out to make sure he's all right. 2 runners on for Newport.
Well, I had a stat for you, Sam. I had a stat that said the last time that Dixon Williams had not reached base in a game was July 19th versus Mystic, but that stat's going to have to be extended at least another day. Dixon Williams reaches base yet again, his 21st quality at-bat in 24 plate appearances this postseason.
And now the question is, can he stay on base? Because he is wincing in a significant amount of pain as the athletic trainer attends to him. This is a serious moment here for one of the best players on Newport and in the entire league all summer long.
Well, it looks like he is going to try to stay in this one, but it's never good when a hit by pitch records an exit velocity, and that one came off of Dixon Williams at 34 miles per hour after hitting him at 88 on the elbow. Just a fastball that got away from Connor Ball inside on Williams. Again, talked about it. Ball loves working that outside edge. He tried to change it up against Williams, and he lost him. Good to see that Williams able to take his spot at first, but it's certainly something to watch the rest of this game.
So Williams shaking it off. It's championship baseball after all. He's going to do everything he can to stay in the game. Meanwhile, Nolan Stevens at the dish for Newport.
Stevens went into that Bristol game 0 for 13 in the playoffs, was 0 for 15 at a point, then sent one 410 feet, finishing the game 2 for 4 with 2 extra base hits, which is why he's back up in the cleanup spot tonight.
Got his confidence back, you have to think, as he swings at the 0-1, fouled off his foot. It was a very uncharacteristic slump for Nolan Stevens, to your point, to begin this postseason. And then out of absolutely nowhere, he just smoked one way over the Muzzy Field scoreboard and right, deep into the trees.
It was out of nowhere, but it felt inevitable.
Like it was due, yeah. Definitely.
He's the sort of hitter that doesn't stay quiet for that long.
Yep. He now is down 0-2 to Ball, and he staves off that pitch to stay alive.
And I don't think there's a better Gulls hitter with 2 strikes than Nolan Stevens, who set a Cardines Field record a couple weeks ago with a 13-pitch at-bat.
He can battle arguably better than anyone. So you take a look at hitting coach Ted Regan for the Gulls. He was a part of this coaching staff that won it all last year. And that sails outside for the first ball. A packed house. You wouldn't expect anything else here at Cardines for a championship atmosphere. Ball looked at Brini, now fires. And it's a slow roller to Velasquez. The first baseman steps on the bag. Both runners advance. Williams at second, Brini now on third.
And that's what Stevens can do, even when he doesn't square one up. Does just enough to move the runners over, and now a big opportunity for Tyler Minnick, who is probably in the last month been the Gulls' best hitter.
He has been on quite the rise in terms of his abilities at the plate. I mean, he was struggling a lot in June, and now he's become one of the more important bats in this lineup, even on the nights he hasn't caught behind the dish. We've seen him at the DH position at points. He is the catcher tonight. Another catcher in Jake Burley in the DH role. Outside, it's quickly 2-0 on Tyler Minnick.
Yeah, Minnick, since the All-Star break, is hitting .347. Was hitting at one point in the season in the 150s, so he has turned it around in a big way.
He can't quite deliver on that swing. First strike dealt by Ball. 2-1 the count. Tyler Hare, the on-deck batter for Newport.
Yeah, and Connor Ball is hoping he does not have to see Tyler Hare this inning. Want to get through this and strand those two.
Pop to the right side and out of play across the street towards the fire department.
Hey, Sam, last time we were here, I said I almost got hit crossing the street. Good news is the bus was on the right side of the street this time, so I didn't almost get hit.
They knew. They said, we're going to protect you tonight, Justin. Happy to hear that. As that scraped foul, Minnick stays alive. It's been a common theme early on, these two-strike pitches fouled off by Newport batters.
Yeah, Ball now up to 22 pitches already here in the first.
And how about we continue on with this battle between Ball and Minnick.
You talk about the pitch count of Ball. You go back to the Dixon Williams hit by pitcher in an 0-2 count. You hit a guy that could have been the second out of the inning. Instead, you got to work for it even further. Connor Ball, he's going to have unlimited range tonight as far as that arm's going to let him go.
2-2 again. Foul to the right side. That one landing out of play again.
And here's a stat for you. This next pitch from Connor Ball will be the 12th two-strike pitch he has thrown in this first inning.
Quite a remarkable stat, especially this early on in the game. Here it is. And we'll do it again.
Make it 13.
I mean, you just saw Connor Ball just have a grin on his face. He can't even really believe it himself out there on the mound. Right now, Newport and Tyler Minnick just able to spoil everything.
And he spoils this one. Almost drilled, hitting Coach Ted Regan in the process. He was ready, though. Head on a swivel from Teddy Regan.
We are now at a point where Ball has thrown more pitches with 2 strikes than he's thrown without 2 strikes so far today.
What a battle here. Tyler Minnick not going down easy. The pitch. Lifted to center. Tucker twirling over to his right, and he makes the catch for out number 3. So the Gulls had a couple of runners in scoring position, could not capitalize. It's tied 0-0 after 1 inning of play here at Cardines Field in Game 1 of the championship. As we go to the second inning, remember that Launch Hydrate's the official sports drink of the NECBL on ESPN+. Launch Hydrate's unique formula helps athletes achieve peak performance at every critical moment, supporting improved focus, rapid hydration, and faster recovery. For orders and information, please visit launchhydrate.com. Launch Hydrate, a fantastic drink, I must say. I had a whole bottle of Launch Hydrate after I interviewed Nolan Stevens following the Game 2 victory for the Gulls over the Blues, and a great sponsor of the league as well, Justin.
Absolutely. Fruit punch has to be the best flavor. I have one from my interview with Colin Barcy sitting in the fridge at my host family's house. Jake, if you're listening, I promise I will drink it eventually, but right now it's in there waiting for me to get home tonight.
There we go. You're waiting for the right time. Meanwhile, we're ready to get back underway. Remember, it was Aiden Coleman with a 1-2-3 first inning, hoping to keep that up against the 4-5-6 hitters. It starts with Evan Sullivan.
Yeah, and if you're this part of the lineup, even if you don't get on, you at least want to work it a little longer because of how much Connor Ball just pitched. You want to give him a little bit of a rest out there on the mound.
And Coleman starts things off nicely this inning with a strike to Sullivan as the sun covers most of the outfield at this moment in time. The breaking ball misses outside, 1-1.
And just a totally different set of body language from Aiden Coleman compared to his first start in the postseason.
1-1 off the end of the bat to short. Seymour backhands it, fires in time. No problem for the shortstop out of Michigan State.
There's a reason he is the Spartans starting shortstop, and it is that sort of defense. Doesn't matter where it is. If it's hit anywhere in Randy Seymour's direction, he's going to be the vacuum cleaner. He's going to take care of it.
That brings up Devin Bade. Coleman has retired the first 4 batters he's faced so far tonight. A Binghamton teammate of the man who we just saw at the plate in Sullivan. That one nearly drilled him in the head.
Yeah, and these Binghamton boys in the middle of this lineup have been so productive for Sanford throughout the season, throughout the postseason as well. 2 runs batted in for Sullivan in the postseason, 2 for Bade as well. And the big thing about them is that they are able to come through in the most important moments. Sullivan the other day in a 3-run 7th inning against Vermont, and Bade has had some crucial moments as well.
Hit up the middle here. Seymour called into action again. It dribbles off his leg, and it has to be held onto by Jack Doyle. So a nice infield single for Devin Bade.
And that's what a captain does. A captain finds his way on base when your offense goes down the first 4. You saw that one hit again to Seymour. You want to get it probably past the infield. You'd rather it on a fly with how good this infield is, like you two talked about back in that first inning. But right there, Bade keeps it on the ground out of the reach of Seymour. He kicked it over to second base and Doyle, but no play could be made.
Here's Blake Schaff, the left-handed batter, and that pitch dips in to the bottom corner for a strike. Beautiful.
Now with the runner on, I'm interested to see what happens. We talked before the pregame about Coleman being a little bit slow to the plate. Sanford, obviously the fastest team in league history, so seems as if Aiden Coleman might have heard me. Gonna check on the runner.
Bade,
sorry, go ahead.
Bade no stolen bases yet this postseason, but 8 for 8 in the regular season. He picks wisely when he does choose to go.
0-1 forthcoming, and Schaff drills it to center. Duncan battling the sun towards the fence, is under it. He makes the catch. Bade has to track back to first base, and there's the second out of the inning.
Yeah, you can see Duncan really had to fight, turned back on it, and thought about it before being told no by Randy Seymour, trying to pick Bade off back at first base. We talked to Duncan in the pregame. He said when he sees runners dancing off the bases on routine fly balls like that, his eyes light up. He's wondering, haven't they learned? But apparently Bade wants to test it.
Ray Velasquez takes strike 1 from Aiden Coleman. Velasquez, a rising junior at Vanderbilt from Lowell, Massachusetts. Went 2 for 4 at Goodall back on July 20th against Newport, and it's a stray throw from Coleman that allows Devin Bade to cruise into second.
Not gonna lie, the Gulls might have saved a base by the fact that that ball bounced out of play, because that one was headed down into the right field corner. Bade could easily be on third base right now if that hadn't skipped into the concession stands.
And that's what speed does to a defense. It forces some errors. That one there from Coleman, we've seen plenty from catchers on throws down trying to catch the stealing runners as well.
Check swing. The first base umpire tonight, Ryan DeMare, says Velasquez did not go.
It's a good call despite the crowd's protestations. Velasquez kept his hands back, did not cross the plane.
The 1-1 from Coleman. He glances at Bade, who has a lead on second. The pitch. Just misses.
Good looking fastball, lower third. Velasquez laid off of it, and smartly he gets the benefit of the doubt on the borderline pitch. Now Velasquez in position up on the pitcher, and Coleman. This is what Velasquez does so well. Even when he gets to 2 strikes, he still knows when to swing at the right pitches.
And this one swung on down the left field line, and it veers out of play, giving chase just in case was Nolan Stevens.
And once again, we see Coleman 1 strike away. We saw him now on 3 straight pitches change the eye level. Look for him to potentially either with an off-speed pitch or with that low fastball we saw 2 pitches ago, go back down to try and get Velasquez lacking in bat speed.
2-2 with 2 outs and a runner on second. Rides inside on Velasquez and the count's full.
Velasquez has had a big postseason, a home run, 4 runs driven in, and now this season he's got 8 hits between the regular season and postseason that have tied or given Sanford the lead, and of those 8, at least 6 of them have come in 2-strike counts.
One could say Mr. Clutch is Velasquez. Did he go here? No, he did not. He held up on the swing, and that's the first walk issued by Coleman tonight. The inning continues with runners on first and second.
What a job there by Velasquez. He was so fooled by that pitch. He was falling out of the batter's box, but did enough, as you see on the replay, to keep his hands from crossing that plane and earn himself a walk.
That brings up the number 8 hitter in Corbin Lanowitz, recording his first plate appearance of this postseason, despite appearing in every postseason game so far.
What a time to get it, too.
Big spot for the left-handed batter out of UNC Asheville. And the off-speed drills him in the right leg. His first plate appearance of the postseason only takes 1 pitch to get him on base, and the bases are juiced for Sanford.
And this is the sort of stuff we saw in that first inning against Valley from Aiden Coleman. Just little things going wrong, a throw getting away, a batter getting hit on an off-speed pitch that feels like a wiffle ball, but here we are with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and it's very early, but already an inflection point in this game.
This team had a ton of regular season success with the bases loaded, and they've continued it in the postseason. How about a .315 batting average this summer when the bases have been juiced?
It's the man who wears number 0, Jared Davis at the dish, takes a strike up in the zone. Aiden Coleman gets ahead.
Go back to that game against the Keene Swamp Bats. It was a similar situation for Davis. Bases loaded, drove a single to the wall. Short dimensions at Keene, but managed to get a 2-run single and put Sanford ahead.
A crack bat here, and the flare lands into the glove of Jack Doyle. Sanford loaded them up, but couldn't take advantage. Opportunities on both sides, but we're still scoreless through 1.5. Well, listen up. Netting Professionals is the official netting partner of the New England League. Their netting and wall padding products have been featured in MLB venues such as Citi Field and Truist Park and many other collegiate facilities throughout the country, including the universities of Florida, North Carolina, Binghamton, shout out the Binghamton boys, Texas, and many more. From design to fabrication to installation, Netting Pros is improving programs one facility at a time.
You can actually see the Netting Professionals net protecting all the fans who have packed sardines like a sardine here as we get set for the bottom of the second.
Got some bars there.
I don't know.
Those were some fire bars.
Whenever I try and do that at home, people tell me I can't rap, but you know.
Hey, you might have a backup option, Riley.
We'll see.
It's the 6, 7, 8 hitters due up for Newport. It starts with Tyler Hare, who wastes no time and actually fouled that one into the Sanford dugout. Remember, both dugouts on the same side, a unique part of Cardines Field. You got both bullpens conjoined in one spot as well, and just unique dimensions all around. As Hare chased after the 0-1, make it no balls and 2 strikes.
You mentioned the dugouts and bullpens, and I'm really wondering, Sanford has been having their entire bullpen in their dugout to bring the team together as one, but with the small dugouts, I'm not sure if that's going on, and I also can't see the bullpen.
A 3-pitch strikeout, meanwhile, for Connor Ball. The off-speed fooled Tyler Hare. And that is a good point, Justin. I don't know. Cardines might make them change that, I guess, tradition you could call it, they've been holding this season.
Well, one thing that definitely has changed is, for the first time all night, Connor Ball, an easy at-bat, as he's able to get through Hare in 3 pitches. And that's good because already through 1 1/3, up to 30 pitches for the lefty.
Jake Burley now faces him. Swings at the first pitch, looped foul off to the right side, out of play.
Sam, I'm surprised. There hasn't been one hit onto America's Cup Ave yet.
No, all of them down that way to the right side. What's the name of that street?
Marlborough Street.
There we go. I should know that by now.
What is this game, like 28, Sam?
It is. 1-1 the count here to Jake Burley, the DH tonight. He went 1 for 4 and scored a run in that game at Bristol the other night.
Was also the catcher behind the plate for that pivotal 9th inning in which the Gulls had to escape a bases-loaded situation, up only a run.
It was high stakes to say the least, but Burley rung up here. Outside edge of the zone, Burley doesn't like it. It's back-to-back Ks to begin the second for Connor Ball.
And every once in a while, Connor Ball is going to run into trouble. It's bound to happen with any pitcher throughout a long start. It's about bouncing back, and that's what he did a couple of times when he let runners on. I believe it was the 4th inning, 3rd or 4th inning against the Swamp Bats. That's what he did in the first, and now he's settling into a rhythm. He's got to get out of here 1, 2, 3. You already mentioned the pitch count. It's certainly a lot higher than where Ball was at against Keene. It took him until that 3rd inning to be over that 30-pitch plateau against the Swamp Bats. He's really got to dial in here.
Well, we mentioned in the first inning how we saw a different Aiden Coleman than his first game. This looks like a different Connor Ball in terms of confidence than we saw in the first inning.
And he's trying to ride that confidence into perhaps another strikeout against Randy Seymour, who's 4 for 18 this postseason. Takes one upstairs, ball 2. But it just shows you how talented this Newport offense is as well when you have Seymour batting in the 8 hole, and he was an all-star.
These two were on the all-star roster together.
That's right. 2-1. Looped down the line and fair. It drops in left field. Lanowitz tracking it. Seymour digging 2. The throw coming in, but it's well offline. That's a stand-up double for Randy Seymour.
Well, we talked about making pitchers pay. Randy Seymour not only made the pitchers pay, he takes a gamble, takes advantage of Lanowitz playing in his first game defensively as a starter for the Mainers in the postseason, decides to test the arm on what was a 50-50 play and gets to second base as a result.
Well, if you're going to let up an extra base hit, do it with nobody on and 2 outs. You can still bounce out of this if you're Connor Ball.
He can, but he's going to have to deal with who has been the Gulls' best hitter so far this postseason in Jack Doyle, who's hitting .529.
And he awaits the 1-0. Fouls it off the face mask of Barcy. A bit of a small sample size with that, but you are correct. Doyle has played 2 of Newport's 4 postseason games so far. Tonight makes that 3 of 5, and 4 for 7, and half of those hits have been doubles, 3 RBI to his name as well.
And I think that even more than Randy Seymour tells you the depth of this Gulls lineup. He's been your best hitter, at least on paper, and he's hitting 9.
That's a good point, as the 1-1 is a hair outside. A great take from Jack Doyle as this crowd continues to get into it.
And what you cannot afford to do here if your ball is let Nico Brini get to the plate, because he has been Newport's Mr. Clutch all year.
That time, it's a strike. Up in the zone, the fans don't love it. It's 2-2.
They don't love it, but it's the right call. That one was a little bit higher and a little bit further inside to catch the zone.
Borderline pitch. We'll see what ball delivers here. It's over the heart of the plate, popped high in the air, shallow left field. Schaff backing up. Will he be called off? Yes, Lanowitz takes care of business for out number 3. We played 2 innings in Game 1 of the championship series. No score between the Gulls and the Mainers. It's turned into a beautiful night here in Newport, Rhode Island. Sure, a bit on the chillier side for an August evening, but no one can really complain. The sun's still peeking through a bit, and a great crowd on hand here at Cardines Field, as you see right there, through 2 innings of play, no score between these teams. However, Justin, both Newport and Sanford have been threatening on the base paths.
Well, each team has left 3 runners on base, and you look at it, 5 of the 6 total runners have been left in scoring position. Saw this a lot for Sanford against the Mountaineers. Luckily for Sanford, it worked out for them, but this is a Newport team that you've got to take advantage of any time that you get runners in scoring position, because, like we've already mentioned, this Newport offense is really good. At some point, they're going to bring their runners in scoring position around.
Well, we start the 3rd inning off at the back of top of the order for Sanford. Caleb Spur fouls the first pitch off onto America's Cup Ave. We can confirm that ball landed on America's Cup Ave.
Sorry to cut you off. I have to ask you, though, when Ian Binky came here with Upper Valley,
yes,
if there was ever a pitch right down the middle,
yep,
which avenue did he say? America's Cup?
He said America's Cup, yes. This is a line drive, 1 hopper to Doyle, and he throws to first for the out. Yeah, I would say, generally speaking, America's Cup Ave is the more commonly one, known here. And the Cardines Field address, I did some research, is actually technically on America's Cup Ave. So that's what Ian used. Shout out Ian Binky, who always uses the nearest street name of the ballpark he's calling a game at.
It is, though interestingly, the entrance isn't on America's Cup Ave.
It's a good point. First pitch swinging here, and it's roped up the middle for a single. Jackson Tucker wasting absolutely no time.
So we saw Devin Bade get on, and yes, he has speed, but he doesn't have as much as Jackson Tucker. And now here is going to be the cat and mouse game between these 2 teams in this series, or what I predict to be the cat and mouse game between these 2 teams. Newport knows Sanford likes to run, and we're going to have to see if Tucker lays off from running on the first couple of pitches to almost act like, hey, I'm not going to go, or if he just takes off a big lead already.
Colin Barcy facing Aiden Coleman. The off-speed pitch dips into the zone. That's strike 1.
Well, if Tucker was going to go early, that would have been the pitch.
Barcy.
That one, only 71.
He decided to stay put over at first. Here comes the 0-1 to Barcy. Well, no, before that, he is going to check on the base runner, Jackson Tucker. Of course, Newport well aware of the number of threats that Sanford has on the base paths, setting a stolen bases record in NECBL history. He had 144 when all was said and done in the regular season. And once again, Tucker tested.
Only 2 guys that are still on Sanford's roster right now did not have stolen bases. Catcher Colin Barcy and catcher Ryan Colvin.
That's remarkable. Down in the dirt, a good block by Minnick. Count runs to 1-1. Barcy's first collegiate home run was against the #1 ranked team in the country, Tennessee. He doesn't swing here, but it's a throw that sails way over the head of Jack Doyle, and now a dime coming in from the center fielder Duncan, but safe nonetheless is Jackson Tucker. It's a throwing mistake from behind the dish that gets Tucker from corner to corner.
Yeah, it should be a stolen base. Then the E2 by the catcher in Minnick. That throw just kept sailing up, and there talked about it when that pickoff attempt with Devin Bade got to the tarp area and went out of play. It's not always just about the speed. It's about what the speed can cause. And Jackson Tucker was going to be safe even with a good throw there, but then the error.
Off the end of the bat, it drops in right field. Coming in from third is Jackson Tucker, and the RBI single from Colin Barcy gives Sanford the first run of this championship series.
He's done it all postseason, and a lot of times you'll see hard-hit baseballs. In fact, his game-tying RBI double against Vermont, how about 106? That one off the end of the bat, left at 71, but it does just the same. It gets Sanford the run across. And how about his 9th RBI of the postseason?
He entered the day with 8, obviously, and that in itself was the most of any player in the postseason. So he just continues to separate himself further from the rest of the pack, you could say, as it's an 0-1 count to Evan Sullivan, who grounded out to begin the last inning. A 1. Popped up and foul, out of play.
And I mean, we talk about how even these two teams are. Just have to think about that throw from Andrew Duncan and how it beat Tucker. If he keeps that throw down, it is a completely different situation.
Yeah, certainly would have had a chance to get him. 0-1. Off the end of the bat, diving effort, it's past the glove of Seymour. That ball seeps out to left field, and Evan Sullivan joins the hitting action. That's 3 straight singles for Sanford, 2 runners on.
Yeah, and you can see Seymour shifted slightly over towards second to worry about a potential steal. As a result, not able to quite get back to his backhand. It finds the dirt, then the grass, and 2 on with 1 out, as Coleman's found himself in a bit of a jam.
Still 2 more outs needed, as you said, and doesn't get any easier. Coleman facing Devin Bade, who was the first batter to get on base for the Mainers last inning.
Both times the first pitches from Coleman have come high and tight on Bade. He gets out of the way of that one. Bade trying to come through for his squad. Had the first hit for the Mainers, looking to have the 4th consecutive.
1-0 delivery. Swing and a miss.
Bade looked like he was swinging in slow motion there, very late on the fastball.
Bade hit a home run against Newport on July 20th. That was at Goodall, an opposite field homer that barely made it inside the right field foul pole. That was a Sanford win, as that's fouled back. Newport won the meeting here in June, these teams splitting that season series.
And if you remember, in that meeting, there was a ball that was called foul that hugged the foul pole. It was hit by Devin Bade right down the line.
Yep.
It appeared that may have been a home run for Bade. He came back with it in that second meeting and got one to leave the ballpark and be called a home run as well, right down that line.
Meeting on the mound here. Tyler Minnick wants to talk things over with his young pitcher. Coleman, the ace of this squad, still only a rising sophomore at the University of Pittsburgh, who cemented himself into the rotation as a freshman there for the Panthers, and now has cemented himself as the ace of this Gulls staff with 5 wins on the year.
His 45 strikeouts in the regular season, second most in the league. Still just 19 years of age, his first summer ball experience, and has turned himself into an ace. Still a lot of pressure for a player that young, however. 1-2 for Bade, and that nearly caught him. It did. It clipped him right on the fingers, it appeared. And the Mainers have the bases loaded. They're looking to do more damage here in the third.
Any way you can get on base, you'll certainly take it. If you think back, how did Sanford load the bases last inning? A hit by pitch of Corbin Lanowitz. This one in a different spot. You hope Bade's are right. That one in up near the hand. That is the worst place to get hit, especially with a ball with some velocity like that one. And now a bat that's been heating up down the stretch for Sanford, a guy who can work a walk as well as work tons of walks, whether it be the postseason or the regular season. Blake Schaff coming up, and that brings a meeting to the mound.
Yeah, and this is an important one for Kevin Long because it's feeling a little eerily familiar for Gulls fans who remember Coleman's first start of the postseason, where he had some really good innings, but just had that one inning that got away from him in a couple different ways, with some weak contact that found gaps, with a couple hit by pitches, and they say lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, he's going to have to get out of this inning if he wants to avoid getting struck twice in 2 starts here at Cardines.
You see pitching coach Kevin Long trotting back towards the dugout. He was part of Mike Coombs' coaching staff at the end of Coombs' first stint between 2005 and 2015. He has experience winning multiple NECBL titles. And he's done talking with Coleman. First pitch, laced down the line, but foul.
And I love that pitch there from Coleman to Schaff. He knew Schaff was amped, and as a result, threw him the off-speed, knowing that he'd be way out ahead of it, would not be able to keep it fair.
Blake Schaff, a native of Oakland, California, rising sophomore at Georgetown. 0-1, he sends it to the infield, underhand scoop. It could be a double play, and it is.
We've talked about it before, but how good is that Gulls infield defense?
4-6-3 to end the inning. Doyle to Seymour, over to Hare, and this crowd on its feet. Sanford does score a run. It's 1-0. Mainers in front, bottom of the third next.
In times of war, peace, and every day in between, our military stays vigilant to protect our country. At Hope for the Warriors, we never forget them or the families who serve alongside them. Since 2006, Hope for the Warriors has provided life-transforming programs for active duty and veterans, military families and caregivers, families of the fallen. Go to hopeforthewarriors.org to give hope today.
The Mystic Drawbridge, over 100 years old and the only one of its kind. Arguably the most photographed structure in Mystic. It guards the Mystic River and connects our downtown. Just one of the many attractions you'll find in our corner of Connecticut. Just 2 hours from New York and 90 minutes from Boston. Head to mysticchamber.org to plan your next trip to Mystic.
We're back in Newport, Rhode Island. Beautiful Cardines Field with a packed house on hand. And there we go. We got Brendan Locke, one of our camera operators tonight, on camera. Cotton Eye Joe, he's killing it. He always does. Gotta love it. Gotta fire up Brendan. I mean, he deserves all the praise there. He's killing it up there. Gotta have fun with it.
I mean, he's having a blast with it. I saw him dancing a little earlier. No one got him on camera, which was probably good. Those dance moves, not as good as what he's doing right now. But certainly this crowd and, you know, everyone around the organization certainly enjoying this ball game as well.
Well, we love everyone bringing the energy. We appreciate all of you tuning in here on ESPN+. 1-0, Sanford leads. We go to the bottom of the third. And this will be the second time Connor Ball faces the Newport order. It all starts with Nico Brini, who singled on the first pitch of the bottom of the first.
Yeah, Nico Brini and Mr. Reliable. You can hear the crowd, even through the headsets, rising to their feet as they hear his name.
And he goes first pitch swinging again. It's a fair ball over the first base bag. And Brini holds up at first as Velasquez took a spill over there. That ball rolled up towards the warehouse. And Nico Brini, he had multiple hits in both games of last year's championship series. He has multiple hits in the first 3 innings of game 1 in this year's championship series.
And a little bit unlucky for Nico Brini. We've talked so many times over this year about the dimensions of Cardines. At most stadiums, that's a triple. That hugs the line, gets down into the corner. Here, it hits off the wall of the warehouse, and Nico Brini stuck on first base.
Andrew Duncan at the dish, heavy hack and miss on the first pitch he sees.
And that could be a home run in some stadiums. You think, you know, Alumni Field with how quick that outfield juts out, that is dangerous down there. Anywhere with a lot of territory, that could have been a triple or even worse.
Brini going. The throw from Barcy looks good, but it's fumbled over by Jared Davis, and a successful stolen base for Nico Brini has him in scoring position. He got that extra base in the end.
He did. Nico wasn't going to stay content on first for long. Great jump. Had a chance to get him. Barcy's throw looks pretty good, but just a little bit of an in-between hop there that Davis couldn't quite corral.
The 13th stolen bag of the summer for Brini, the Wofford commit. 1-1 for Duncan, meanwhile. And he didn't like his swing entirely there. Went chasing at the pitch down low.
And now I want to see what Duncan does, because we've seen him in the postseason adapt a different mentality where he's not trying to do too much, just trying to do his job. Right now, his job is to get Nico Brini to third base, really no matter what. However he can do it does not matter, as he calls time in the middle of ball's windup.
Yeah, that was, talk about last second granting time, did home plate umpire Jim Fonseca. Ball will try it over again. 1-2 pitch outside. Andrew Duncan, as mentioned earlier, the only player this postseason with multiple home runs. He had a grand slam in that Game 1 comeback against Valley, and then hit another one against Bristol. And another one outside. Closer this time, but the count full nonetheless.
Feels like that first inning, a one-pitch single for Nico Brini, and then Andrew Duncan, he worked into a full count then. He's doing it again here. Newport's just hoping it comes with some success this time.
It doesn't this time. Ball delivers a huge strikeout against the hottest bat these playoffs.
Yeah, and you can see Brini asking the home plate umpire, was that strike 3? Umpire told him no. Brini visibly frustrated with himself at a pitch that would have just missed.
Well, it's not a bad option behind Andrew Duncan with 1 out, because that's Dixon Williams, best batter in the league, awaiting the first pitch, and he takes it inside. I'm not someone who likes to claim a lot of things on the air, but Dixon Williams with an MVP caliber type of summer here in the NECBL.
He certainly put together something special. First in batting average, 4th in runs batted in. It'll be interesting to see a matchup that would probably also include Jake Coonan of the Keene Swamp Bats. I'd personally put, a vote out there for a guy like Devin Bade, who had hits in 21 of the final 23 games of the regular season and had a batting average of .357. Certainly a lot of good options, but you have to imagine Dixon Williams is either number 1 or number 2.
1-1 to the aforementioned Williams. He swung through it.
Williams also making cases to be the postseason MVP. 7 RBIs in 4 games, including reaching base 14 times already through 5 games.
Not too shabby. 1-2. Near the knob of the bat, it's a slow roller to ball. He makes the play over at first. Brini advances to third. The tying run now 90 feet from home, but there are 2 outs in the books.
You could put that down as a swinging bunt, especially with how far it went in front to Connor Ball. Good play made by there, but you talked about it. That one up near the hands of Dixon Williams. That is the second time we've seen Connor Ball look inside to the East Carolina third baseman. That time, luckily didn't end up hitting him, and for Ball, he gets a big out of it.
Brini 90 feet away for Nolan Stevens.
He holds up on the swing, and it pays off. Ball one from Connor Ball. Stevens 7 home runs this summer, the most on the Newport Gulls. And the 1-0, called a strike right inside near the hands it appeared. Nicely located pitch in the end for Ball, a little bit deceiving.
Yeah, great little tail side run there to cut across the inside corner.
1-1. Swing and a miss from Stevens down towards one knee.
That was not a swing to just put Newport's tying run up. That was also to give them the lead. Now with 2 strikes, if you're Stevens, you really got to choke up. You got to be ready here and just do a simple swing. Try to get anything to fall.
Here it is, and it's shot up the middle. Will it get through? What a snag by Schaff, the throw in time. Blake Schaff, unbelievable play. And the Gulls thought they had the tying run, not so fast. We played 3 innings here at Cardines Field, and the Mainers still hold on to a 1-0 lead. Justin Chevalella takes us through the middle innings after a break.
You would never have known that this is just Blake Schaff's 4th game of the summer playing shortstop and just his 3rd start. And they have all come in the postseason, robbing Nolan Stevens of the game-tying hit. That was what Schaff did to end the 3rd inning on a sliding stop up the middle. We move on to the top of the 4th at Cardines Field as Ray Velasquez fouls off the first pitch. Ball game remains 1-0 in favor of the Mainers because of that play that Schaff made up the middle. Ray Velasquez worked a walk. He helped load the bases in the 2nd. Here he puts one on the ground. Nice sliding stop by Seymour. A little bit of a high throw, but not a problem for Hare. And that's the 1st out. That's the 3rd inning in this contest that we have seen Sanford begin their portion with a ground out to Seymour at short.
Yeah, Randy Seymour, how many times are we going to say his name tonight? If they keep hitting ground balls his way, the answer will be a lot because he just continues to make difficult plays seem routine.
Off-speed pitch breaks in nicely. Inner 3rd on Corbin Lanowitz. Lanowitz still has not recorded an at-bat this postseason. He has appeared now in all 5 postseason games for Sanford. He was hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance. Now he's going to get the at-bat as this one on the ground. A chopper to Seymour. Strong throw across. And Seymour's been busy tonight, and he continues to come through. Another 6-3 putout.
Yeah, that's now the 5th time Seymour has been called into action in this game. And this is big for Coleman as well. Getting those quick 2 outs, inducing weak contact on both occasions, and now you really want to put away Jared Davis because you don't want to bring up the possibility of facing the top of the order once again. You want to put that off until the 5th if you're Coleman.
Coleman up to 53 pitches, trying to get out of here under 60 as Jared Davis, who popped up on a shattered bat that was caught by second baseman in Doyle with the bases loaded to end the second. And he is quickly ahead of Coleman 2-0, 2 balls that have missed towards the dirt. 2-0, it's 3-0 as from the extreme of low to the extreme of high on the fastball, and wouldn't be surprised to watch one be plated right down the middle, and Davis taking all the way. That one was lower than expected, but still in there for a strike, and the count 3-1 to the 9-hole hitter, who's now got to protect. Coleman still looking for the 1-2-3 inning. And now he's in a full count as Davis fouls this one into the netting. More pitches in Davis's at-bat here, 5 than there were to the first 2 hitters, 4. Now the 10th pitch of the inning, strike 3 called, fastball. Bottom third, gets Davis to stare, and it's strike 3. And Aiden Coleman goes 1-2-3 in the 4th. We go to the bottom of the 4th, we're through 3.5. It's 1-0 in favor of Sanford here on ESPN+.
I was a firefighter in Little Compton, and I was teaching a lot of classes, and being up there at 330 pounds was somewhat hypocritical. South Coast Health was excellent in providing the tools and the opportunities. You're retaught to eat after the surgery. It was exciting to finally know that I was getting to where I wanted to be. Having kids, you know, a 9-year-old son, it makes me feel really good that I'm in better shape to enjoy his childhood with him. I'm very happy, very happy.
Back at Cardians Field, a quick 1-2-3 inning for Aiden Coleman. And now we move to the bottom of the 4th. It's Tyler Minnick, Tyler Hare, and Jake Burley. That's 5, 6, and 7 due up against Connor Ball, who put a 0 up last inning, but in large part due to the play Blake Schaff made up the middle.
It is, and I think that play by Blake Schaff kind of is an epitome of the problem the Gulls have had so far today, and that is leaving runners on base. 4 stranded through 3 innings, and when you're playing a team with pitching the quality of the Mainers, you cannot afford to be stranding more than a runner an inning.
All 4 for the Gulls have been stranded in scoring position. Sanford stranded 5, 4 of them in scoring position. 1-0 popped up here by Minnick. It's foul, and the count is 1-1. Missed opportunities for both sides. That's the storyline here in Game 1. And the pitchers have made the pitches that matter most. 1-1. That's a strike. Not one that Minnick likes on the inner third of the count to 1-2.
I generally trust catchers when they argue with the call a little bit more. I feel like they really know what is and isn't a strike.
1-2 is hit on the ground to Schaff. This one easier than the last to throw low, and it's picked out by Velasquez for out number 1 here in the home portion of the 4th.
Yeah, well done there by Velasquez. Schaff used up a lot of energy on that play to deny Stevens and maybe gave some of it back on that throw. Took a little off it, but Velasquez able to bail out Schaff.
That brings up Tyler Hare. He was a strikeout victim, 1 of 3 so far, and this time he lines one of Velasquez. It's caught for out number 2.
And we are back up on the air here on ESPN+. as Jake Burley now steps up to the plate for the Gulls. And so far, so good here for Connor Ball, Justin. 2 up, 2 down to get this 4th inning underway. Smooth sailing.
Yeah, ground out to Schaff, and then the line out to Velasquez as this one's popped the way of Velasquez, but out of play for strike 1. This is important for Connor Ball. We talked about it a couple innings ago with his pitch count rising rapidly. He's up to 64. His 65th is a ball, much to the surprise of Colin Barcy behind the plate.
It's interesting because his pitch count is rising, and normally when you hear that, you think he's struggling with location. But Ball's actually thrown 70% of his pitches for strikes. The problem he has is that the Gulls are just fouling pitches off and off and off.
Burley moves ahead 2-1, struck out looking back in the 2nd inning. He looks at that one, it's ball 3, and now the count 3-1 to the designated hitter, a catcher by trade in Jake Burley. 2 for 7 coming into the day on the postseason. 2 for 8 coming into this plate appearance that ends with his 2nd walk of the postseason and a 2-out runner on for the Gulls.
And that has been kind of the story. The Gulls getting runners on with 2 outs. The question is, can they change the narrative and actually get one of them across home plate?
Again, already 4 stranded in scoring position on this beautiful night in Newport, Rhode Island. Seymour trying to change it, bounces one to shortstop. He goes to Davis the short way and gets the lead runner Burley for out number 3. We're through 4. It's a pitcher's duel, 1-0 from Cardines Field and live on ESPN+. Back here at Cardines Field as the crowd into this one. A great baseball game that sees Sanford lead 1 run on 4 hits over the Newport Gulls, no runs on 3. As we are through 4 and into the 5th. Aiden Coleman retakes his position in front of this crowd on the mound. And it's going to be Coleman versus the top of this Sanford order, already up for the 3rd time here in inning number 5.
And this was the time of game in that first outing for Coleman this postseason where he struggled against Valley in game 1. He was pulled with 1 out in the 5th. So if he can roll through this 5th inning and continue to play with confidence, you know, that could go a long way for him, because I think ideally manager Mike Coombs and pitching coach Kevin Long are saying, we're hoping you can go at least 6 tonight, maybe even 7, the way the starters have been going for Newport.
I mean, I think if you're Mike Coombs and Kevin Long, obviously you're going to put the players' health and safety above all. As we take a look here at the bracket and see how these teams got here. Sanford, of course, going via the win against Keene and then taking down the number 1 seed Mountaineers. Newport through Valley and then Bristol. But if you're Mike Coombs, right, your goal is you don't have to throw Coleman, and you can't, because of the pitching rules, throw Coleman again this season. Yep. So if he's good and feeling fresh, you're going to throw him till his arm falls off.
A first pitch ball from Coleman here in the 5th. Notable on that graphic, all 6 series so far this postseason, Sam already mentioned it in the opening, have been sweeps. This pitch to the backstop in the count, 2-0 to the leadoff hitter and Spur.
And that was, at least in the first round, I know that was the first time the first round was sweeps across the board. And that means it's the only time in history that first 2 rounds have been that way.
That new playoff format with the 3-game first round, it was first introduced last season, and here in its second year has brought nothing but sweeps. Spur trying to sweep that at bat with all balls, but rather it's a strike, and the count now 3-1.
And this comes a year after Newport was the only higher seed to win round 1 last season.
This ball blooping into center field. Duncan runs in. He's under it with plenty of room to spare for out number 1.
And there you see the speed of Andrew Duncan. He went back on this ball at first, then just doesn't even have to go to a sprint. Into a jog is all it takes with his foot speed to camp under that one comfortably.
We talked about it, Sam. Last year, this Newport Gulls team won the championship after being the only higher seed to win round 1. Sanford, from the 5 spot, beat the 4-seeded Mystic Schooners. Bristol moved on as well. Danbury upsetting the Vermont Mountaineers, and Newport was the only team that swept that only team that was the higher seed to get through, and they went all the way to the championship, where they finished it off against the team they just ended the season for, the Bristol Blues.
And last year as well, in the round before the championship, it was Bristol who took down Sanford. So we were very close to having this being the championship series a year ago, Justin.
Yes, it was. It was a competitive game, too, at Muzzy Field last year in the semis. As this pitch is into center field again, Duncan coming in on it. This time he can't get there. It's Jackson Tucker's second hit of the ball game, and this is a guy that started getting his bat around 2 nights ago. A multi-hit game against the Vermont Mountaineers in Game 2. Saw him get his first 2 hits of the postseason, and now he's up to 4, doubling his total. 2 for 14 coming into the day, but 2 hits in his first 3 at-bats here tonight.
Kevin Long going to make a second trip to the mound on the night. I have to imagine this isn't pitch-related as much as it is runner-related. Jackson Tucker, as we mentioned and saw earlier, took off on the 3rd pitch of the at-bat. Last time he was on first base, and if you remember that throw from Tyler Minnick, well, it missed not by inches, but by yards. Sailing into center field, ended up putting Tucker on 3rd, where he would later come in to score the game's only run so far.
Nick Lops is talking things over with hitting coach and associate head coach Tim Moreau about what to do with Jackson Tucker. You're not going to make Colin Barcy bunt. I can tell you that much. So
no, you won't.
There's going to be anything, it'll be a straight steal from Jackson Tucker. Maybe a hit and run. That's certainly a possibility as well.
I mean, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, I feel like you have to send him again. You haven't seen anything from Minnick that suggests he has the ability to beat your speed with his arm. You have the lead. You're on the road. You got to be aggressive.
Tucker does not go on the first pitch. That's a high fastball to Colin Barcy. Potentially in the head of Jackson Tucker there was a potential pitch out. That is surprising that despite 140-something stolen bases for Sanford, now over 150 when you throw in the postseason, not a single pitch out from a team this season. Check over on Tucker, slides back in just safely.
And that is something also to note. Coleman almost picked Tucker off the first time he was on first base. So Tucker, yeah, great going forward, but if he gets caught with an extra step on his secondary lead, could find himself picked off.
Tucker retakes his lead, leaning towards second. He's not going to go as this pitch cracked foul towards the right side. Barcy has the only RBI of the ballgame. He drove home Jackson Tucker, the only run of the ballgame. Back in the 3rd inning, a 71-mile opposite field single from the Vanderbilt backstop. Looking to come through again as he has all postseason. A check over on Tucker just in time again as he took an extra half step on his lead that time.
Yeah, Aiden Coleman knew what we did in the booth, which was if he went home with that, Jackson Tucker was swiping second base.
Tucker starts to go. He stops as this ball chops into right field. Tucker will hold up at second base, playing station to station. It's the second opposite field single for Colin Barcy tonight, and there's 2 base runners on for Evan Sullivan.
Well, it might not have been an official hit and run, but that was a de facto hit and run with Jack Doyle being dragged over towards the second base bag due to the run threat of Tucker. And out comes Mike Coombs, so exactly where it ended for him in his first postseason start, it will end here for Aiden Coleman. 4 1/3 down, but 2 on with 1 out.
2 runners on. They're both Coleman's responsibility. We'll have more on the new pitcher who will face Evan Sullivan when we return here at Cardines Field. Back at Cardines Field, a hard-throwing righty from Franklin Pierce, Drew DeLucia, takes over for his second appearance of the postseason as Aiden Coleman's start comes to an end. His postseason likely effectively over, as well as is his summer in terms of his action on the mound. DeLucia made his first appearance against the Valley Blue Sox, and he picked up a win in big-time relief.
And it seems like it's deja vu over again, because Coleman in that start against Valley went 4 1/3 innings, was replaced by Drew DeLucia at this stage of the game, and it's happened again here in Game 1 of the championship series this time. And there's a reason they're putting him in, Riley, and that's because he was nails in that game against Valley, went the rest of the way. The final 4 2/3 innings, only allowed 3 hits and a run, didn't walk a single batter, 4 strikeouts. Not a bad option by any means to go to.
No, Drew DeLucia, I don't think there was a question, at least in my mind, of if Aiden Coleman had to be pulled early again, who the Gulls were going to go to. DeLucia, fresh, has not thrown since that first game against Valley, and not just a great pitcher, but really the source of inspiration for this team. When he gets on the mound, he pitches with a certain demeanor, a certain energy that breathes fire to the team, to the crowd, and everyone here at Cardines.
It's the Binghamton designated hitter today, catcher by trade, Evan Sullivan. He's already got a single today, came in the 3rd inning. Sanford loaded the bases once more, but they were stranded. At least 2 were, as an inning-ending double play erased the trouble. That first pitch from DeLucia is in the dirt. Heck of a stop by Minnick to get down and block the 83-mile-per-hour off-speed pitch. DeLucia adds a couple of extra miles per hour to the fastball that we saw from Aiden Coleman. He's got good breaking stuff as well. He went the breaking route the first pitch. We'll see what route he takes the next. The runners take off. It's dropped behind the plate, and it is a double steal for Sanford. 2 in scoring position now.
And that is a great move there from the Mainers. Guessed right, and Tyler Minnick was, you knew it was in his head because he knew it might be coming, but he went to go make that throw before he had the ball in his glove. As a result, dropped it. 2 in scoring position now, and it looks as if the Gulls are going to bring the infield in to try and cut down a runner at the plate.
Already a advantage for Sanford. That one foul tipped into the glove of Minnick, and the count 1-2.
DeLucia, very much a strikeout pitcher, though, so if he can get one here, it would very much change the dynamic of this inning with 2 outs then on the board.
Tucker off of 3rd, Barcy off of 2nd. 1-2 count. Fouled off, spoiled by Evan Sullivan.
That is the correct word, because that was a nasty breaking ball with a lot of horizontal movement there from Drew DeLucia, but just enough done from Sullivan to keep that one.
DeLucia's next 1-2 just missed, and the count to 2-2. An inner third fastball right on the black goes the way of Sullivan. He lives to see another pitch.
Don't think I've heard the crowd this upset over a call any point this year. If you couldn't tell, they are dialed into this game, and a warning issued to Mike Coombs, who was barking after it, and he's coming out to issue some more words to the home plate umpire, Jim Fonseca. Coombs has to be careful, has already been ejected once this year, and an ejection here would suspend him for the remainder of the season.
Could also work, though, and fire up his squad if something like that were to happen. Yeah. A guy that can protect his team.
Oh, yeah, and a great coach as well. He won 4 NECBL titles in his first stint with Newport between 2005 and 15. A legend around these parts. I think he knows what he's doing, but has to be careful towing that line as well.
DeLucia's 2-2. This one is hit on a line to Stevens in left. Tucker's going to score. There's not going to be a hard throw home. It's a sacrifice fly for Evan Sullivan, and Sanford doubles their lead. It's 2-0.
Well, that's all you really could ask for if you're Sanford in that spot. Sullivan's job was to just get a ball far enough to the outfield where it would bring in a run in a one-out situation. That's all you need. And in a low-scoring game like it's been so far tonight, you certainly take that run if you're the Mainers.
It's no surprise to see the two guys with RBIs so far in this ballgame, Colin Barcy and Evan Sullivan. Sullivan came into the day with 2, including a big one in that 7th inning. But let's go back to what we were talking about before. That's Mike Coombs and his rich history here in Newport, returning for another stint this year. His last title in 2014 was won against the Sanford Mainers. These two teams are meeting for the 4th time in the NECBL Championship. Sanford won in 04 and 08. Newport and Mike Coombs in 2014.
There you have it. And Coombs' all-time postseason record in the NECBL, 44-17. He has the NECBL best 674 win percentage heading into this season in 522 games under his belt.
Devin Bade and Sanford are hoping that it's the opposite result this year, as that one's fouled back behind home plate. Nick Lops is managing his first NECBL championship game today, and talking to him after the game the other day, he said this is uncharted territory. Made the semifinals the last 2 seasons, has made the playoffs plenty of times in his 5 years with Sanford, 4 as the manager, but never to the championship, and he hopes this is the squad that can bring the 3rd Fay Vincent Senior Cup back to Sanford. Right now, it's DeLucia up 0-2 after a beautiful breaking ball at 81 in the dirt got Bade to swing and miss. Barcy off a second. Sanford already a run in the inning. The 0-2, swung and a miss. And DeLucia retires Bade for out number 3, but not before Sanford gets a run across on Evan Sullivan's sacrifice fly. They lead 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Back at Cardines Field, where this game just saw another run put across. It is 2-0 in favor of the visitors. The home crowd is certainly still into this ballgame, getting loud and proud, trying to root on this Newport offense. Justin Chevalello, Riley Daniel, Sam Reese bringing you the action here on ESPN Plus, right in between the crowd here at Cardines.
Yeah, and I think we have to give a shout out to our executive producer, PJ Moynihan. behind the camera there, getting us those amazing shots, really taking you inside what it's like to be here at Cardines on a night like this.
Yeah, it's just, you can hear the noise if you're tuning in. It's an electric atmosphere, and really cool that with PJ in the house, we get to kind of, to your point, let everyone know tuning in what it's like to experience a game here at Cardines, where especially in a championship game, it's just the place to be and such a fun atmosphere to experience a ball game at.
It's going to be 9-1-2 after a fielder's choice ended the 4th inning. And Jack Doyle, the 9-hole hitter, flew out to left his first time up in the 2nd. Takes a ball low from Connor Ball into his 5th inning of work. We already have mentioned the pitch count several times. That was pitch number 70. His 71st is a strike to even the count at 1-1.
And a big at-bat here in the course of this game, because on deck is the one guy who definitely has Connor Ball's number, and that is Nico Brini.
1-1 is hit into right field. That one drops down between Davis and Spur. It's a single for Jack Doyle to kick off the 5th inning. Just what you want your 9-hole hitter to do.
Yeah, Jack Doyle continuing his red-hot postseason. Doesn't try to do too much with it, gets jammed, but just goes inside out, finds the right field grass. And Sam, how much you want to wager Nico Brini swinging first pitch here?
I'd say there's a very good chance, unless this is a wild pitch from Connor Ball.
Well, Nico Brini's got 2 singles. He's seen 2 pitches. That's why Riley asked that question. He swings at the first pitch. It's on the ground to Davis, on to Schaff, 4-6. They're not able to complete the 3 portion of it, but it's a fielder's choice. Brini reaches for a 3rd time, while the first out is recorded here in the 5th.
Yeah, and just a good job by Nico Brini, hustling down that line, beating it out, and preventing what would have been a really morale-killing 4-6-3.
Well, maybe some more speed on the base paths. No stolen bases for Jack Doyle this summer. Already seen Brini take off for second base here today, and that happened back after a single to lead off the 3rd. We'll see if he does it with Duncan to the plate. First a check over by Ball. Ball certainly thinking the same way I am up here.
That's a good way to put it.
I'll pat myself on the back.
As you should. I did it with Coleman. You can do it with Ball.
Brini doesn't take off. It's a first pitch strike down the heart of the plate to Andrew Duncan. It's a fly out and a strikeout on the line of the center fielder from Florida State. We've seen this postseason time and time again. Duncan has come through. As Sam has mentioned, the only postseason hitter with multiple home runs. Came into the day, 526, that's 10 for 19. You know if you're Sanford, Duncan's eventually going to do damage. You just want to limit it.
You also want to limit the number of pitches he's seeing. Worked himself into a full count both of his first 2 at-bats. So you want to avoid him continuing to rack up pitches on Connor Ball's arm.
1-1 misses outside, so the count to 2-1. It's been a balancing act. Nico Brini's seen 3 pitches. As for Andrew Duncan, like Riley just said, full counts in both of his first 2 at-bats tonight. They both ended in favor of the lefty out of Alabama, who's now behind 3-1.
Sam, I'm going to go back to you again. How much you want to wager this is a strike that runs this count full?
Pretty good chance. Pretty good chance. We're so far so good.
When we saw deja vu with Coleman and DeLucia, we saw it with Nico Brini. Will we see it here with Andrew Duncan?
3-1 is ball 4. And now 2 runners on for the Gulls. Brini moves up to second. First time Newport's had multiple runners on since the first inning when it was Brini and Dixon Williams, and Williams just coming to the plate now.
And we've talked about it so far, Riley. It's about finally capitalizing on these chances. Multiple base runners on, first time since that opening inning. You got a dangerous part of your lineup up. This needs to be the moment Newport gets on the board.
Yeah, it does, and there's no one they would rather have at the plate than Dixon Williams. 7 RBIs in 4+ postseason games, was 5th in the NECBL in RBIs in the regular season, and has found a way to have a quality at-bat in pretty much every at-bat he's seen this postseason.
Grounded back to ball last time as he fouls this pitch off, and the count is 0-2. He was hit by a pitch in an 0-2 count in the first inning. He worked a 1-2 count, and ball both times with 2 strikes has worked in on the hands. That's what led to the hit by pitch. That's also what led to the weak contact. We'll see here on the 3rd pitch of this at-bat if ball works inside to the ECU standout, potential league MVP. 0-2. Left it a little bit more over the heart of the plate, but it's fouled off.
Yeah, and that location is not a spot you want to put a pitch to Dixon Williams because he loves those balls low and inside. Very good at roping them down that first baseline. That time was a little bit late, couldn't quite square it up.
Count stayed at 0-2 on that foul ball. This 0-2 pitch is drilled into right center field. Caleb Spur moves over towards the gap. He's got it. The runners are going to tag. No one covering second, and now they've got the runner picked up. We'll see if there's a potential in which the runner scores first. He will not. Out number 3, double play before the runner scores.
Oh, no, they're counting it.
They're counting
it. Nico Brini scores, and it is 2-1, and well, we might see someone tossed real quick.
The good news is the other umpires are coming over to talk it over. It is certain that that run did not score. Sanford's got to retreat. Nobody can get ejected. We'll let the umpires sort this out as we take a break, and we'll tell you what they say when we return on ESPN+. The conversation with Mike Coombs and the umpires is civil for now, but from what we were able to tell, the run did not score. We just got official word of that, and that's the right call. We all saw it pretty clearly up here. Home plate umpire had not seen when that tag was put on. That's why he called it safe. The umpires come together, they get the call right, and no matter which side you're rooting for, you just hope for a fair game, and that's what they did by getting it right there.
Yeah, they absolutely got it right. We could see from here behind home plate. We have a great vantage point of it. Brini certainly didn't get to home plate when that tag was applied on the base runner in Andrew Duncan, and good on the umpires to have that conference, talk things over, and make the right call in the end. Mike Coombs pleading his case, but they did get it right.
They did get it right. I think the only frustration you would have as a Gulls fan is you wonder why the Mainers were able to scream in the umpire's face and walk away without getting a warning when Mike Coombs gets a warning for a word or two on a borderline pitch. In the same manner, you understand that was a blatant missed call and why they would act like that.
I think both sides will. I know Newport definitely wants the run, but they understand the ruling and they understand no ejections. Nick Lops got his guys back quick enough. He pleaded his case, and the crew chief came over to take care of business and get the call right as Blake Schaff, who was part of that crazy rundown, if we have it right, it was a fly out, so an F9, and then it was a 9-6-3-4 on the tag that was applied to get Duncan out.
And honestly, it's a crazy play, but you wonder what Andrew Duncan's doing there because the risk reward probably just isn't there with 2 on and then 2 out after that ball is caught to try and get to second base. Yeah, you want to be in scoring position, but what you don't want to do is take the bat out of a batter as good as Nolan Stevens' hands.
Blake Schaff is in a 2-1 count. Now he's in a 2-2 count as he swings and misses at a 91-mile-per-hour fastball. Schaff grounded out to end the third. It was a 4-6-3 double play, killing Sanford's momentum. They put up a run in that inning, went scoreless in the fourth. They put up a run in the fifth, and they just barely kept a run off the board in the bottom of the fifth. We're into the sixth. And the first plate appearance continues as that fastball misses outside, and Schaff, who normally finds himself in deep counts, is deep in this one, 3-2. DeLucia's payoff is popped up. It's in shallow left field. Seymour is battling it up there in the sky. He comes back and finds it on the infield dirt for out number one.
I mean, it feels like every ball that's put in play by the Mainers right now is finding its way into the glove of Randy Seymour.
Ray Velasquez, his last time up, well, he found the glove of Randy Seymour on a ground out that began the fourth. He walked against Aiden Coleman back in inning number 2. First pitch, fastball inside, nearly got Velasquez. He got his hips out of the way of it. And the former Vanderbilt first baseman is up ahead 1-0. 1-0 that time. Gets the zone, and the count now 1-1. DeLucia on for his first full inning of work. Came on last inning and got the final 2 outs, although a sacrifice fly. Now he's in a 1-2 count ahead of Velasquez, and then we can give you the final line on Aiden Coleman. That was finalized after DeLucia got that final out, striking out Devin Bain, and here he strikes out Ray Velasquez looking. Second strikeout for Drew DeLucia. He dots the bottom black for strike 3.
Yeah, that pitch, great movement and gets the bottom of the zone. DeLucia, I mean, we talked about deja vu. We've said it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now. This is deja vu, the way that Drew DeLucia is dominating.
First pitch fouled off by Corbin Lanowitz. Lanowitz was 0 for 1 with a hit by pitch against Aiden Coleman, whose line I promised you, so here it is. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned. 3 strikeouts, a walk, and 2 hit by pitches. A 1 bounces up, so Corbin Lanowitz finds himself in an even count. His first recorded at bat, despite playing in his 5th game. Again, heavily used as a defensive replacement. Comes into left field, takes the spot of C.J. Willis in the lineup, and then Caleb Spur, normally in left field, slots to right. No C.J. Willis tonight, so Spur in right and Lanowitz in left from start to what we assume will be finish. Lanowitz ahead now 2-1. Two-1 is bouncing foul down that right field line, and Drew DeLucia has found himself in another 2-strike count. Already 2 strikeouts through the first 4 he has faced.
And Drew DeLucia is the type of pitcher, as we saw in Game 1 of Round 1 against Valley, where he just gets more and more confident as his outing continues when he settles in, because that's just the type of player he is, always fired up. So if he can make it a 1-2-3 frame here in the 6th, that's good news for Newport going forward.
The claps coming for this faithful crowd here at Guardians Field. The 2-2 in the dirt. Can't find it behind the plate is Minnick. Here's the throw to first. He still beats Lanowitz, and it's another 1-2-3 inning. Make it 3 strikeouts now for Drew DeLucia. We're through 5.5. It's 2-0 the visitors here at Guardians Field. For the first time since July 14th, the entire Sanford bullpen has returned to the bullpen. Connor Ball still on the mound, but his line and his night might be coming closer to a close in between innings as Mike Coombs continued to plead his case to the home plate umpire about that play that saw a run erase to end the fifth. The entire Sanford bullpen took their backpacks from the dugout and sprinted down that left field line. Again, for now, Connor Ball remains, and he's got to go up against 4, 5, and 6, the thick of this order, although they are combined 0 for 6 tonight.
They are, but they are 3 hitters who can get hot in a hurry. We saw it with Nolan Stevens on Monday night at Muzzy Field. We've seen it several times with Minnick and with Tyler Hare, and you get the feeling this Gulls team feeling a little more fired up after the way that bottom of the 5th ended.
First pitch to Stevens, on the ground to Davis. Nice play at second base on a rocketed ball. He gets the throw on to Velasquez, and that'll certainly help Connor Ball stay in this game a little bit longer. 1 pitch, 1 out to begin the 6th.
Yeah, if you're the Gulls right now, you have 2 goals. One is you want to get runs on the board, but if you can't do that, you want to get Connor Ball out of this game and get into that Sanford bullpen. A 1-pitch ground out, that's not accomplishing anything.
This pitch on the ground to third. Bade makes a turnaround on it. He gets the throw, and it's 2 pitches, 2 outs for Ball here in the 6th. That was his 84th pitch of the contest. And I can tell you, Connor Ball has gone well over 84. A nice play by Bade to help him out.
Yeah, and now really a different mentality for Tyler Hare. His goal needs to just be to see pitches.
He lays off the first pitch, which I don't know if it mattered where that pitch was. He was doing that all the way. And that pitch was high for ball 1 on a fastball. Velocity has not been an issue, still sits up in the high 80s. That one at 80, but it was an off-speed pitch, so you expect it to come down after the 87-mile-per-hour fastball on the first pitch. 0 for 2 tonight is Tyler Hare, a strikeout and a line out to Ray Velasquez. He's up in all even innings so far. He began the 2nd with that strikeout, got the 2nd out in the 4th on that line out, and here he is as Connor Ball looks for his first 1, 2, 3 inning. Up ahead 1 and 2. He's got it. A swing and a miss for strike 3. An economical inning for Connor Ball. Just 6 pitches, and he gets 3 outs. We're through a full 6. Sam Reese the rest of the way here on ESPN+.
As we welcome you back to Cardines Field in Newport, Rhode Island, we're catching the very end of the gully race. Always a competitive race in the left field grass at Cardines. The gully race did not actually happen in the last home game, Game 1 against Bristol, because it was a rainy night. So I'm sure the fans, including myself, happy to see the gully race return tonight. Always fun to watch that battle, but Newport hoping that that provides some type of spark for them, because their bats have been very quiet so far. They haven't been able to capitalize. It's a 2-0 Sanford lead, and right now, with it being the top of the 7th inning, it's about Drew DeLucia continuing to do his thing on the mound.
It is, and you get the feeling that Newport, if Drew DeLucia can continue to do his thing, has the bats to get back in this game. There's only been one game all season in which they haven't scored at least 2 runs. On the other hand, that was their most recent loss in their second to last regular season game here against Ocean State.
The final score was what you see on your scoreboard right now, 2-0, as the 1-0 is drilled up the middle and a leadoff single from Jared Davis. Silences this crowd here at Cardines, and now we go back to the top of the Mainers order.
Well, Jared Davis, probably now 3 weeks ago, possibly even a month, moved to the 9-hole after Jackson Tucker returned from injury to put Caleb Spur, Jackson Tucker up top, and he has just continued to provide consistently from that 9-hole. How about 100 miles per hour? And watch out for Jared Davis. He's got a ton of speed at first base.
And the man at the plate now, someone to watch out for as well. Caleb Spur showing bunt, didn't commit, and takes a strike on the outer half of the zone.
You mentioned Newport's offensive abilities. 2-run lead isn't safe. It feels like for Sanford, all three opponents they've played this postseason, you cannot necessarily trust a lead with. You think at Keene, Alumni Field, never can trust a lead at Alumni. The Vermont Mountaineers, their powerful offense that struck for 8 unanswered in the 9th inning against Bristol.
And this is through the gap right side. Doyle was playing over towards second, and Spur says thank you very much as Jared Davis was already taking off. That's what made Doyle move that way, and the decision pays off because the Mainers have runners on the corners.
Yeah, Jared Davis, his decision to go there not only got him second base and then third base, it's the difference between there being runners on the corners and nobody out and nobody on base and 2 outs.
I can probably take a guess here and say that there's about to be at least the idea of making it 2 runners in scoring position, as I expect Caleb Spur will take off on the first or second pitch that Jackson Tucker sees.
That wouldn't be surprising in the slightest.
Something to keep an eye on over at first. Meanwhile, time is called as Drew DeLucia was not even ready to wind up yet. A delay there, and Tucker gets the time.
Though I think there is a response to that from Newport, which is you don't actually need to necessarily worry about the runner on first.
He's taking off. The bunt popped up, however, and it's into the netting. So Tucker will have to trot back to first base. I beg your pardon, Spur with Tucker at the plate.
Because if you were to let Spur get on to second base, it gives you a base open, and if you can get Tucker out, it then allows you to walk Barcy and get around the 2 best hitters in this Sanford lineup.
We'll see how Drew DeLucia faces this adversity, and there is a ball. Good decision from Tucker to not go after it after he showed bunt.
And that's what you got to do if you're DeLucia. If you think he's going to show bunt, give him the off-speed stuff, see if you can get him to bunt it foul, take that play out of their playbook.
Before the 1-1, DeLucia does fire over to first. Spur was ready. Spur, who played for Mystic last summer. He's got that lead over at first. He's going, and it's a low pitch, no throw made. Minnick didn't want to risk anything, and there's that free base picked up by Spur.
We expected it. Now you're going to bring the infield in, going back quickly to Caleb Spur and the Mystic Schooners, one of 3 former Schooners from last year, and that Schooner squad had a lot of success, and now 3 of them, Sullivan, Ellison, and Spur, helping out Sanford this year.
And a strike called there on the outside part of the zone. Tucker was debating whether to swing. It's now 2-2.
And DeLucia doing a great job working the bottom of the zone, putting Tucker in a spot where if he's going to make contact, it's going to be a weakly hit ground ball, which would cut down a runner at the plate.
And DeLucia wants to change up the signs here, and he wants a meeting with his catcher, Tyler Minnick, because clearly they weren't quite on the same page there.
There's that, and there's also Caleb Spur on second base. You always risk potentially your signs getting stolen when there's a runner on second, although with the way Caleb Spur was leading, I'm not sure if that was going on there, but certainly just want to talk things over. A huge pitch with 2 runners in scoring position and no outs.
Top of the 7th inning, a pivotal moment in this game, as Justin mentioned. 2-2. Down low, the count is full, and the biggest pitch of the night so far is forthcoming.
If I'm DeLucia, I'm putting one on the fringe, and I'm making Tucker make a decision. A walk doesn't hurt you much here. It sets up the force at the plate with a slow batter and Barcy up.
Here it is. Fouled away. Tucker survives to face another pitch.
You can feel the tension here in the top of the 7th at Cardines.
The crowd on the edge of their seats, hoping that DeLucia can deliver here. Three-two again. Down low, ball 4. The plate discipline of Jackson Tucker pays off there, and the base is loaded up with nobody out for the Mainers.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker did a great job in that at-bat, but I don't think DeLucia is particularly upset with that result because we talked about it. It sets up a lot more options for his infielders, especially with DeLucia's ability to induce ground balls.
If Colin Barcy sees a fastball first pitch, I can tell you he'll be swinging at it. Colin Barcy came up in this situation, game 2 against Keene with the bases loaded as they're telling DeLucia he's got a set before he can deliver. Colin Barcy was sitting fastball. He got a first pitch fastball at left Alumni Field.
DeLucia now going to go out of the windup.
Sets at the waist, deals, and the fastball is let go by Colin Barcy. Strike 1.
Yeah, DeLucia is a much, well, I wouldn't say much, but a noticeably better pitcher out of the windup than he is out of the stretch. So that might be another factor in his approach to Tucker.
Now the 0-1. He goes back to that pitch down low to even things up on Barcy, who already has a couple of singles in his last 2 at-bats.
Still hasn't stung a ball, though. They were both softly hit and both the other way. He's a great pull hitter.
And this one just misses the zone. Talk about a good eye from Barcy because that was a borderline pitch.
You can see it scraping the edge of the chalk, but majority out on the TrackMan.
2-1. That nearly caught his face as Barcy ducked out of the way. Tucker the runner at first, Spur on second, Davis at third for Sanford.
DeLucia's gonna have to throw him something he wants to hit here. And a big chance for Barcy to blow this game open for the Mainers.
A ball would score in the 3rd run. Here's the pitch. He got jammed. It's looped, however, and it's going to drop. Coming in from 3rd, Jared Davis. And an RBI single that was flared in the center by Colin Barcy extends Sanford's lead. It's 3-0, and the base is loaded again.
When you're hot, you're hot. And Colin Barcy has been hot all season. That ball falls in between the Bermuda Triangle. It's a factor of the drawn-in infield because Seymour and Doyle have the range to get that ball if they were back more, but they were brought in. That ball falls. Colin Barcy's 3rd hit of the day, his 2nd RBI, and the bases are still loaded with no outs.
And it's now pitching coach Kevin Long using a mound visit here to talk things over with Drew DeLucia. There's no secret about it. This is an extremely difficult spot that he finds himself in because, once again, there's still nobody out, and the Mainers again have the bases loaded.
It is, and it's kind of feels like it's just a night that's going against the Gulls. It seems as if they cannot string things together. Every little bloop off the bat of the Mainers is seemingly finding green grass right now. But if this is a Gulls team that knows anything, it's that they've been in this exact spot less than a week ago. 6 days ago, it was Thursday night against Valley. They were down 8-2 in the 7th. All hope looked lost. DeLucia was on the mound, and they turned that one around in about 20 minutes. So this one, very much still up there, but DeLucia's got to get out of this inning without much more damage.
He now faces Evan Sullivan and deals a first pitch strike on the inner part of the zone. Sullivan didn't quite love the decision from home plate umpire Jim Fonseca. Now the 0-1. Goes with the heater, and it's blasted in the air foul.
A strikeout would be so huge for DeLucia, would set up a potential inning-ending double play.
The base runners now read as Barcy on first, Tucker at second, Spur 90 feet from home. The 0-2 offering. And it's fouled back. You could see DeLucia purposely pinpointing that inner part of the plate, trying to jam Sullivan.
You can also see Bade catch that ball off the netting in the on-deck circle.
He's alert and ready for his opportunity, but first, what can Sullivan do? He strikes out. The Drew DeLucia show back in effect as the K gets a much-needed first out for Newport.
Yeah, big strikeout, fourth of the night for the righty from Franklin Pierce, and now the infield gonna back up slightly, double play depth. Really, if a ball's hit right at any infielder other than Tyler Hare, it's probably an inning-ending double play.
Devin Bade singled back in the second. Was hit by a pitch in the third, struck out in the fifth. Bases loaded and one out. Ball outside, dealt by DeLucia.
It's a guy in Bade who has come up time and time again throughout his 3 years with Sanford. He's also a guy that is playing for the moment. He wants this championship.
And he might want to hit here, and he does. It bounces in front of the glove of Brini, coming home from third, Caleb Spur. And it's another RBI single this inning from a Sanford batter that extends the lead 4-0 here in the seventh.
You can see Brini lay out for that. He nearly got under it, but just like Andrew Duncan the other night at Muzzy Field, just couldn't quite get the glove underneath the ball. And the decision to throw home there, potentially costly. They could have potentially had a play at second base on the runner. Instead, a run comes home, base is still juiced, and the Mainers a hit away from breaking this one wide open.
That was Sanford's 10th hit of the night compared to Newport's 4. 1-0 the count to Blake Schaff, who's the 7th batter of the inning, and it's the same situation with the bases again loaded. It's now Bade at first, Barcy on second, Tucker standing at third. The 1-0 for Schaff. And there's a much-needed strike for Drew DeLucia.
And a generous strike call at that. DeLucia struggling out here in the 7th. No signs of movement from the Gulls' pen, though it does look as if there might be an arm getting loose.
The 1-1 a fastball, loop to left, and it drops in for a base hit. Jackson Tucker waved home. He gets in, and Colin Barcy follows him. That's a 2 RBI knock to left field. Blake Schaff has given Sanford a 6-0 lead.
And Blake Schaff was one of those guys really heating up as the regular season ended. Maybe his final batting average doesn't show that, but he put it over the Mendoza line in his final game of the regular season. And there you see it. Took a fastball at 89, did what he could with it, and that was take it to the opposite field. And Schaff's got his 3rd hit of the postseason, a 2-run single as Sanford has really started to open it up this inning.
A 4-run 7th so far, and still 2 more outs to be recorded by Newport. Ray Velasquez, the 8th batter of the inning, swings and misses at the first pitch he sees. The Gulls overcame a 6-run deficit, as previously mentioned, in the 7th inning in round 1 against Valley. Trying to keep that deficit no greater than 6. This is right into the glove of Williams, and he throws over to second for the out. That was the perfect scenario for Newport in an inning where Sanford took full advantage. The Mainers put 4 on the board in the 7th, and they've taken off for a 6-0 lead here in Game 1 of the championship.
At the time I was a firefighter in Little Compton, and I was teaching a lot of classes. And being up there at 330 pounds was somewhat hypocritical. South Coast Health was excellent in providing the tools and the opportunities. You're re-taught to eat after the surgery. It was exciting to finally know that I was getting to where I wanted to be. Having kids, you know, a 9-year-old son, it makes me feel really good that I'm in better shape to enjoy his childhood with him. I'm very happy. Very happy.
We head to the bottom of the 7th inning, and remember that Zephyr is the official on-field cap of the NECBL, also known as the Z-Hats. Zephyr's the authentic college hat with over 800 colleges and channels that same energy and creativity into building custom hats of all types for pro sports teams, clothing brands, and companies everywhere. Make sure you pick up your Newport Gulls and Sanford Mainers official on-field cap today. As we roll on to the bottom of the 7th, it's the 7, 8, 9 hitters due up for the Mainers, and it's still Connor Ball out there. Why not for the Mainers, Justin?
Well, after his 10-pitch or less than 10-pitch, 6-pitch inning in the bottom of the 6th, you might as well throw him out there. Here's the deal with him. Probably give him a little bit of a longer leash now that you've got a 6-run lead. Not too long because it's still a championship, but you want to have your bullpen ready to go as well the rest of the series. Don't want to use arms. You don't have to. So as long as Ball feels good, as long as he's not putting himself into bad situations, I could see Connor Ball going this entire game.
Wow. You heard it here first. We'll see how Ball can start off the 7th, facing Jake Burley. First pitch of Ball. Burley, tonight's designated hitter for Newport, struck out looking in the 2nd, walked in the 4th. 1-0, up the middle, hits off the foot of Ball. Can he recover in time? Yes, he can. A little bit of a high throw, but in the glove of Velasquez nonetheless. And 2 pitches, 1 out to begin this inning. It's exactly what you want.
And that's important to show where Connor Ball is at mentally and with his confidence. A lot of times when a pitcher has to deal with a comebacker like that, where it hits off you and then you got to scramble, you see the ball get overthrown. And sure, the throw was definitely a little bit high there, but you've got a tall first baseman in Ray Velasquez, so it wasn't really that bad. Connor Ball is certainly settling down, and this is what – it's almost the opposite of what we saw against Keene last week, where it was an efficient start, and then his pitch count went up towards the end. It was a pitch count getting increased early, and now he's settled down efficiently.
It has gone down as of late because of the quick work he's been putting together. He's retired the last 5 batters now, hoping to make it 6 against Randy Seymour. 1-1 the count to Newport's shortstop, who fouls that pitch to the backstop. After Seymour, it'll be Jack Doyle, who did have an RBI, or rather, who did have a single, I should say, in the last inning. No runs put on the board yet for Newport in this game. Good eye from Seymour outside, ball 2.
Yeah, no runs put up from the Gulls. On the other hand, you look out at those innings and 5 runners left stranded on base. Or excuse me, 6 runners left stranded on base in 6 innings. And you look up at the scoreboard, and what do you know? It's a 6-run game.
That tells much of the story in terms of how this one has played out. And it's very rare that you see Newport with a 0 on the scoreboard this late in the game. It's been an offense that has scored 7 or more runs in all 4 of their postseason contests. Seymour swings through that pitch, and it's a strikeout for Connor Ball. He just keeps on rolling.
And how about that being his 95th pitch, and it's his fastest so far. Wow. 89 on the fastball that time. That means one of 2 things. He's either feeling really good, which I think we can tell by the results, or that Nick Lops has told him, this is your final batters, go out there and empty the tank.
I have to imagine it's both, because I don't imagine Nick Lops is going to let him see Nico Brini again.
That took a weird hop, bait unfazed, and it's a dime of a throw on a line to Velasquez for out number 3. The infield has been spectacular all night for Sanford. The hot shot, no problem for Bade after the awkward bounce. We're heading into inning number 8 after this. Sanford with the 6-run lead. The choice of Major League All-Stars is now the official batting gloves of the New England League. Bruce Bolt. Bruce Bolt batting gloves are handmade by skilled craftsmen using 100% real Cabretta leather. The stitching, materials, and unique design make these the best-fitting, most durable batting gloves in baseball. For more information, visit brucebolt.us. We're on to the 8th inning, and really now or never it feels like for Newport. And from the Sanford side of things, everything going well so far, Justin. But, you know, with the bats due up here, the offense certainly wouldn't mind doing some more damage here in the 8th.
You got to put up as many runs as you can. That's the story of baseball, really. You got to just increase your lead, especially against this Newport team. I don't think I ever got to finish my point earlier. Leads weren't safe against Keene because of Alumni Field. Leads weren't safe because of the energy and the offense that Vermont brings. Well, the leads aren't safe against Newport either because of the star power in this lineup.
And Corbin Lanowitz understands just that, Justin, because he rips a single into right through the gap for a leadoff hit. He was the only batter we didn't see in that long 7th inning in which Sanford scored 4.
Second time on for Lanowitz, but you go back to Blake Schaff's single last inning, the 2-run single. That made it that all 9 Mainers have reached base. That is the 4th time in the postseason that every single Mainer has reached base, and this is just the 5th game they've played. That shows just how much success this offense has been having.
And after the leadoff single for Corbin Lanowitz, it appears as though that's the end of the line for Drew DeLucia in his appearance out of the bullpen. You see manager Mike Coombs coming onto the mound. The call being made to the bullpen. The 3rd Newport arm of the night will enter, and we'll get you all the details on who that is after a quick break here on ESPN+. We welcome you back to Cardines Field here in Newport, Rhode Island. It's the Sanford Mainers with a 6-0 lead over the Newport Gulls in Game 1 of this best-of-3 championship series. A great angle here. You see it. Mason Olsch, the new man on the bump, warming up for the Gulls. And Riley, we've already seen him play in a postseason game. He appeared in the late stages to close out Game 1 against Bristol back on Sunday night against his former team.
Yeah, he did appear in that game against the Bristol Blues, a wild game. It was 12-3 at the time. Did end up giving up 2 runs, but was relatively in control his whole performance, and to be honest, probably could have gotten out of that inning unscathed if the Gulls were fully in it and not already thinking about Game 2 up a dozen runs. But now his approach is kind of completely different. He came in a blowout up against Bristol on Sunday. Now his team's down a bunch. His goal is no more damage. Give the offense a chance, because you look at that Newport lineup, right? And it's the top of the lineup coming up again. And you get the feeling Mason Olsch gets out of this inning unscathed. The Gulls have one last chance to get themselves in this game.
There will still be hope indeed if that's the case. And yeah, to your point, a much more important situation to go into if you're Mason Olsch compared to his first playoff appearance. Prior to the postseason, he made 7 regular season appearances out of the bullpen with an ERA of exactly 5, 4 walks, 6 Ks in 9 innings pitched. A rising senior at Quinnipiac. He dealt with an injury towards the end of his spring with Quinnipiac, so that's why he was kind of ramped up this summer for the Gulls and didn't make his debut until the end of June, but he has ramped up those innings, ramped up those pitches, and there's a reason why he's being used in big moments like this. First year with Newport, but third year in the NECBL after playing for Bristol the last 2 summers.
So he knows what it takes in the championship series, and on the other hand, knows what it feels like to be on the wrong side.
Curveball misses outside to Jared Davis, who singled last time up. He was one of the 4 runners that scored in that 7th. He was the first one to cross home in that 4-run frame. 1-0 for Davis, right over the heart of the plate for a strike. Davis was a sophomore this past spring at Florida Southwestern, will be taking his talents to the ACC with the Hokies at Virginia Tech. 1-1, a fastball, and it's drilled to the right side beyond the reach of Jack Doyle. And the Mainers pick up from where they left off. New pitcher, no problem for Sanford. Back-to-back singles to open up the 8th.
Talked about it. You got to attack, try to add some more runs, and a good start. Corbin Lanowitz goes ahead 1-0, gets a good pitch, puts it into right field. Now Jared Davis here. Even up in the count, 1-1, but just attack the pitch right over the heart of the plate. A little high, but not a problem for Davis. Not a normal 9-hole hitter. Again, most of the season spent up in the top portion. Last 3.5, maybe month now, he has been to the 9-hole, and he has just stayed the same. And Nick Lops is just floored with the way that he has taken that spot with ease.
Double play potential here. Does Newport get it? Yes, they do. Much needed for the Gulls. Lanowitz does advance to third, but 2 outs quickly on the board.
If it wasn't for Randy Seymour, this game would be about 20-0 right now. Seymour has now recorded 8 putouts in this game. That is of the now 23 Gulls outs. So more than a third of them have been at the hands of the Gulls shortstop.
Here's Jackson Tucker, who lays off for strike 1. Corbin Lanowitz, the runner, 90 feet from home.
So we can see there after that block from Minnick, that view inside the Sanford dugout, and they are quite happy, enjoying themselves with a 6-run lead here in Newport.
Game 2 will be tomorrow night in Sanford, but the focus right now is on the rest of this one as the 1-1s popped up, foul out of play.
It's been a good day for Jackson Tucker at the plate. 2 singles, a walk. He has scored 3 of the 6 Sanford runs put across. Trying to add an extra one.
1-2 from Mason Olsch. And it veers outside the zone. 2-2 with Colin Barcy on deck if it gets there here in the 8th inning. The heater slapped to right center, and it's into the gap. Another RBI single for the Mainers. This time it's Jackson Tucker who drives in Corbin Lanowitz, and Sanford adds some insurance here in the 8th. It's 7-0.
It just feels like it's raining singles. That is the 14th hit, all of which won baggers for the Mainers. And the Gulls starting to get demoralized. The crowd all but checked out here at Cardines.
Wow. Jackson Tucker now with 3 hits tonight. And a check swing here. And the first base umpire, Ryan DeMare, confirms he didn't go. So that's kind of a quiet stolen base for Jackson Tucker, who took off all the while the players on the field were trying to see if that was indeed a strike.
Got a good pitch to run on. It was in the dirt as well.
One 1-0 with 2 outs to Barcy. He takes a hack at it, popped up. Minnick flies the mask off, but that won't be playable. Another one onto the road. And I mentioned that Tucker just recorded his 3rd hit of the night. The man at the plate right now in Colin Barcy already has 3 hits. Those 2 have been incredible tonight. 1-1. Curves below the zone for ball 2. It's been all Mainers tonight. The hit's 14-4, the score 7-0. The 2-1, called a strike. Right on the inside corner. The crowd trying to stay in it and get behind Mason Olshier, despite all the momentum on the side of Sanford at the moment. Two-two, swing and a miss. Olsh records a strikeout to end the 8th. The Mainers do add a run in this frame. It's now a 7-0 ball game. The Gulls down to their final 6 outs, hoping to get going at the plate after a break.
In the Eisenberg School of Management, we really value experiential learning. By the end of their time here, the students have a portfolio that they can go out with and say, here's what I've done. Here's the clients that I've already worked for.
Our alumni are in constant engagement with our program, providing career guidance, insights. So all of our students are able to take advantage of an unparalleled alumni network before and after they graduate.
Your involvement with the school doesn't end when you graduate. We have a lot of UMass Amherst alums at Gillette Stadium. We know the type of employee we're going to get when we hire someone who's graduated from this program.
Whether you're an island resident or planning a summer getaway, the fastest way to get to the Cape and Islands is by taking the New England League's preferred partner, the Steamship Authority Ferry. Visit steamshipauthority.com for more information. You see all the division championships and league championships out there on the right field fence. Newport has won the most NECBL titles all time with 7, the most recent coming last summer, hoping to go back-to-back, which is never an easy feat. Has only been done 5 times in the history of the NECBL, once done by the Newport Gulls in the early 2000s, but it's all Sanford so far tonight. A 7-0 lead over Newport, and after Connor Ball was incredible through 7 innings, Justin, of scoreless baseball, the Mainers have decided to make a call to the bullpen here in the 8th with Ryan Douglas entering the contest.
Ryan Douglas appeared once this summer, and he kind of got a tough ask, or really a tough hand, when they were in Vermont, because he pitched 1 inning, and that's all. That was just all ground out, or there was an error there that he worked out of. But you go into that inning and you look deeper into it. He had to work through 2 different delays within half an hour to complete that 1 inning. And this is a guy who has started to get going late in the season. You look at his last 3 appearances, including that postseason one against Vermont, 4 innings of shutout baseball, and it was because of his performances at Ocean State and then against Keene, his last 2 regular season appearances, that he is making postseason appearances. This is a guy that had struggled for a little while, posted a 0-5 record prior to picking up the win against Keene in his last appearance of the summer, of the regular season, I should say. But Nick Lopp said he's seen something different in Ryan Douglas, and he's said that Douglas was dealing before he had to come out of that game against Vermont because it got suspended.
Well, it's the part of the order you want at the plate if you're Newport to begin this 8th inning. And that's Nico Brini, the leadoff man for Newport, trying to make this crowd cheer for something. And he loops the first pitch foul, almost hit the light.
Brini, one of 3 Gulls hitters with a hit tonight, the only one in the multi-hit category, but has not had a hit since the 3rd inning. Gulls as a team haven't had one since the 5th.
It's a crowd starving for some offensive production. Swing and a miss from Brini. It's quickly 0-2. The final line for Connor Ball, 7 innings pitched, no runs allowed, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. He faced the order exactly 3 times through.
Just an absolutely unreal start for Connor Ball.
0-2 from the new man on the mound, Douglas. Slips high. Ball 1 for Brini.
And you have to think, if the Mainers are able to lift the Fay Vincent Senior Trophy, that Connor Paul would probably be the postseason MVP. 15 scoreless innings in playoff play.
Insane stats as Brini charges one into right, but a diving play made by Caleb Spur. A sliding effort, he held on to it as we take a look at the incredible play.
Yeah, really well done there by Spur. That's a tough play to make, especially on the slick grass here in Cardines. Did a good job making sure that catch survived the ground. See? Football terminology for a cold August night.
There we go. Yeah, temperature at this point in the mid-60s in August, which is very, very rare. It's always a little cooler in Newport, right on the water, but never to this level in the month of August in particular.
No, I don't remember a night like this, but kind of emblematic of the way the Gulls bats have been tonight.
Currently 65 degrees in the city by the sea. 1-0 the count on Andrew Duncan. High fly ball. It'll stay in the infield. Jared Davis tracking it, and he's got it. 2 up, 2 down, and really the theme of how this game has gone continues to follow the plot. Sanford, no matter what pitcher they've had out at this point, has been getting it done, and Newport's bats have been awfully quiet.
It's just Sanford pitching staff that when they started that 11-game stretch of the 11-game win streak, it was solid. Then they ran into some trouble. They let up 14 runs to Ocean State, still got the win. They let up 12 runs to Upper Valley. They still got the win. But this postseason, they have once again turned it back on, came into the day with a 3.10 starters ERA in postseason play and a bullpen ERA of 1.15 through 15 2/3.
Pitching a huge part of what can spark a postseason run like the one Sanford's putting together here. The foul ball from Dixon Williams evens up the count at 1-1.
You go back to early in the season before Sanford fell to 2 games under 500 at 15 and 17. When they were above 500 for a while, it's because their pitching staff was so dominant. There was a mini win streak of 4 games that was 3 shutouts in a row thrown in there for the Mainers. They ended up losing the pitching staff a little bit in the middle portion of the season, but they have come on huge towards this end stretch. Again, coming into the day, 15 of their last 16 games have been wins for this Mainers squad.
I think that's honestly understating it, though, because that loss was a game that was effectively an exhibition game.
It's true. 2-1 to Dixon Williams. Best batter in the league. Due for one, surely. Takes one high and away. Nobody on, 2 outs. It's been a defensive masterclass from Sanford here on the road. Again, Newport has the higher seed, home field advantage, but Sanford hoping to snatch that away and give themselves an opportunity to clinch in front of their home crowd tomorrow.
Be their first time ever clinching the championship on the Goodall Park ground.
Dixon Williams blasts this one to right field. It's back towards the fence and off of the ivy. Scooped up by Spur. Williams cruising in a second. That's a stand-up double and much needed for this Newport crowd to have something to cheer about.
I mean, it doesn't matter how quiet the offense is. Dixon Williams is still going to find a way to get on base. It has now been 12 days since he has played in a game and not reached base at least twice.
That's insanity. Remember, he was hit by that pitch back in the first inning. So with that double, that streak continues on for a man who's just having an unbelievable summer and is only coming off of his sophomore season as well at East Carolina, where he played all but 1 game for the Pirates this past spring. Nolan Stevens, the batter, takes strike 1. He was only just a freshman this past year for Mississippi State. Talk about a lot of upside for the guy at the dish.
Yeah, Gulls, one of the youngest teams in the league, yet still here fighting in the championship series.
The 0-1 for Stevens. lets it go in the dirt. 4-ball-1, even things up on Stevens, the home run leader for Newport this summer. He's got 7 of them. And 36 total RBI. One. Sent foul off to the left side, deflected off the netting, bounced right onto the third base line.
And I think not even counting the possibility of an amazing comeback again, the Gulls need to get a run here because they need to walk into Goodall Park tomorrow feeling like their offense is back where it's supposed to be. They need Nolan Stevens to get going. They need Dixon to come around. They need the offense to show that it has some signs of life, which haven't been seen in a while.
It's a good point. 1-2 for Stevens, down low, all level. And yeah, regardless of what the result turns out to be, it is a valid point in terms of the morale within Newport offensively, just going into what could potentially be an elimination game tomorrow on the road.
Any way to get momentum is something you'll take getting in to Goodall Park tomorrow. You want to silence that crowd that you know is going to come out in full force.
And it's just low. Ball 3. Douglas was convinced he got the zone. Not so fast, said home plate umpire Jim Fonseca.
Yeah, Douglas might have been asking for a little too much there. That one, yeah, it was centered, but very clearly below the zone.
A major league guy from a young star in Nolan Stevens. And before the payoff, Douglas steps off.
And you see Blake Schaff calling out Colin Barcy. I think they think Newport might be taking the signs from second base. You want to change them up. Go off of a different sign rather than your first sign down. Maybe mix it up. Go to the second or third and just make Dixon Williams relay the wrong sign to Stevens, if that is what's going on here.
Yeah, and I think you are correct about that. Nolan Stevens with a sheepish grin in the conversation with Tyler Hare during this meeting on the mound. He thought he knew what the pitch was, and if there's anyone you don't want knowing what's coming, it's Nolan Stevens, because if he knows, he will send it 500 feet.
Sent one 410 to deep right at Muzzy 2 nights ago. Now the 3-2. Strike 3 called. Bottom corner. Stevens is rung up. Douglas fired up as he walks towards the dugout of Sanford, and we're going to the final inning with the game still 7-0. Sanford in control. We're heading into the final inning at Cardines Field in Game 1 of the championship series between the Sanford Mainers and the Newport Gulls. It is once again Mason Olsch out there on the mound. And Justin, more of the same in that last inning. New pitcher Ryan Douglas coming in, but same results for the Mainers.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now that you've got this group eluding confidence. Nick Lops, it feels like you can throw almost any pitcher out there into any situation, and they are going to come through for you, and that's what we've seen. Connor Ball struggles, but he got the big outs early in the game, then settles down. Right there, 2-out double. That can rattle a pitcher, especially with how that ball almost left Cardines Field in right field, off the high wall in right field, but instead Ryan Douglas bounces back with a good-looking off-speed pitch that breaks on the outer third. And now Sanford just hoping they can cling to this 7-run lead in the ninth.
It'll be the 4, 5, 6 hitters up for the Mainers. It starts with Evan Sullivan, who singled back in the third, also had a sac fly back in inning number 5. It's been all the Mainers here at Cardines.
And I think we kind of have to, at this point, think back to the inflection point in this game and that call at home plate in the bottom of the 5th, because I think it's fair to suffice to say that it would not be a 7-0 game, and it would probably be a lot closer as that ball is hammered down the line.
And will it stay fair? That's the question. It does. It bounces right along the line, dribbles out of play. It's a dead ball into the bullpen area, so in effect a ground rule double for Evan Sullivan, who absolutely scorched that one down the left field line.
Yeah, that ball hammered down the line. Love to see a replay of that, because that one, as we get the replay here, looked from here like it had bounced foul. The replay says that one hit off the wall. Looks like it hit the foul pole on the wall and then bounced. I don't think I've ever seen that here.
15th hit of the night for Sanford. First extra base hit. They've just been doing it traditionally, playing station to station, stringing things together. Now we'll see if they can string something together with the next of the Binghamton boys up.
Devin Bade, the first of those Binghamton boys, gets a called strike on the inside part of the plate. Sullivan at second, nobody out. And the Mainers certainly wouldn't mind even some more insurance here in the final frame. Chase there from Bade, 0-2.
This Mainers team just so impressive, and I think they're a perfect representation of that old phrase you hear time and time again in the hockey playoffs. It's not about who has the best team, it's about who has the best team at the right time. And this Mainers team, well, they are the best team in the NECBL right now.
Bade swung, the throw in time from Minnick over to Hare after the drop third strike. So first out officially in the books as Sullivan stays put on second.
Yeah, a weird play there because Minnick had to look at Bade while firing to first, make sure Bade couldn't take third on a throw over.
Blake Schaff is now the batter, and he had that loud 2 RBI single last time up in the 7th. The Georgetown product awaiting the first pitch from Olsch. And it's when he swings that, sends through the middle. Seymour again called upon, and he delivers yet again. The throw to first in time. Sullivan, meanwhile, advances to third.
Love the Gulls, just enthusiasm still. Probably didn't pick it up on the camera, but you can see here Tyler Hare flip that ball across the diamond, trying to catch the runner at third base with a potential hidden ball trick. Didn't work, but even down 7 runs in the 9th, the Gulls still out here having fun.
And I know it didn't end up resulting in a hit or a run across for Sanford, but I like Schaff's idea there to attack early. This is a Sanford lineup that has attacked early a couple times, but lately it feels like they're waiting on the first couple of pitches as Velasquez swings through the first one here. I liked Schaff's idea, knowing he was going to get a good pitch to hit. Didn't result for him, but it was certainly close to dribbling out there to center.
Velasquez, the last remaining Mainer without a hit tonight.
And he could change that here. It deflects off the glove of Olsch. He recovers in plenty of time. The underhand toss in time to Tyler Hare. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Newport's desperate to say the least. They need 7 to stay alive after a break. We're back here in Newport, and no surprise to see Ryan Douglas back into the game for the Mainers. And while this one's nearly coming to an end, there's still more to play for. It is a best-of-3 series, Riley.
It is. We'll see these same two teams, same time tomorrow night, different location, Goodall Park, and then if necessary, we would be back here at Cardines on Friday. All those games will be on ESPN Plus, and gotta love our graphics department.
Love that.
With the off-season in there, because when this series ends, whether it is tomorrow, Friday, or if the weather poses problems later on this week, there will be no more baseball left to be played in this collegiate summer season.
Well, it's been all Sanford tonight, trying to play spoiler role in Newport's attempt to repeat as NECBL champions. And down to their last gasp, it's Tyler Minnick who starts things off for Newport, 5, 6, and 7 hitters on the way for the Gulls. And they've got their work cut out for them, to say the least. Douglas delivers, almost nicked Minnick.
And if you're Minnick, probably thinking right about now, maybe I should have let that one nick me. Because the Gulls will take a runner anyway. They can get one.
Minnick 0 for 3 so far. Hoping to change that here. He cracks it foul out of play. Just beyond the reach of a fan in the top row of
Justin,
the stands.
that might have gotten your bus.
Oh, that's not good.
We'll hope that crisis was averted.
We got back from Vermont at 2:30 back on Sunday night.
I meant to ask you how late you got back, because that game wasn't called until 11:15, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know, because we were watching the end of that one on the bus back from Bristol.
1-1 the count. And it's looped foul.
So and that one's going to go for a ride down America's Cup Ave.
The Gulls faithful have stuck around hoping for some late miracles.
Well, they've seen stranger here at Cardines this year.
There have been several wild comebacks strung together by Newport. The fastball fought off by Minnick. Count stays put. A pair of 4-0 teams in this postseason. Something had to give tonight in Game 1. The Gulls' bats have been quiet throughout. 1-2 again, and another foul ball. Minnick giving his best effort here to get on as that leadoff guy.
I mean, this is what we saw early in the game from the Gulls. They were really working Connor Ball's pitch count, but then once he settled into a rhythm, started to fire more quality strikes because he was throwing strikes early. Then they started to go down and doing it in economical shape for Ball and Douglas in that first inning, but here a lengthy battle.
And in the end, it's Douglas who prevails, fitting to say the least, the way this game has played out, as Barcy looped the throw to Velazquez to officially record that first out.
Back-to-back strikeouts now for Douglas. The strikeout of Stevens looking to end last inning. A good-looking breaking ball, this time down in the dirt for strike 3 swinging, and now Ryan Douglas still got to get through Hare and Burley, but can certainly feel good with that first out across in the ninth.
As we can see the bullpen and some of the players out of the dugout for the Mainers.
Tyler Hare goes first pitch swinging, leaping snag by Davis, the throw in time, and that's a quick way to record that second out. Newport down to its final out now. Jake Burley, the last hope.
Well, it won't be Jake Burley because they're going to send up a pinch hitter, and got to give a shout out to the Gulls captain who might have taken his last swing here at Cardines. A 3-year Gull, Jake Burley, a consummate professional and just a great teammate. But Gull's going to give it a chance with the young, powerful Matt Austin Fort, the NC State commit with 4 home runs on the year.
He had played all 4 playoff games before tonight, so not surprising at all to see him put into this situation, as Justin will take us to the finish line here at Cardines.
First pitch to Sanford, misses outside. Thank you very much, Sam. One heck of a job. Yet again, Ryan Douglas looking to put Sanford up top in this NECBL championship game. 1-0. Fouled off to the backstop in the count to 1-1. Sanford has never clinched the championship on their own turf of Goodall Park. They have done it twice right here at Cardines Field. A win tonight gives them at least the chance to do it tomorrow in front of the Goodall Park faithful. That is sure to come out. The community is rallying around this squad in green and yellow. The 1-1. That one just misses outside as Sanford goes ahead 2-1.
And that picture of the Gulls dugout kind of says more than we can with words.
Game 2 will be back here tomorrow night, or pardon me, back on ESPN Plus tomorrow night. It'll be at Goodall. The 2-1, fouled off. And Ryan Douglas is a strike away from sending Sanford back on their bus happy and with a lead in the series. The capacity of Goodall Park, it'll be maxed out. Maybe not quite as much as Cardines, which is a little bit bigger. But the community will sure come out and help support this team that if they can finish off this one, will have won 16 of their last 17. Deuces wild, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And Sanford lays off a chase pitch in the dirt to work the count full. The pinch hitter came in the spot of Jake Burley, who was 0 for 2, but also reached on a walk. Base runners have been limited. Just 5 hits for Newport today, and just a couple of walks thrown in there. Douglas's payoff runs high, and Sanford keeps this game alive for at least one more batter. Working the walk here against Douglas.
Yeah, good job by Sanford, just not willing to chase a pitch out of the zone. And what you don't want to do if you're Douglas is mess around with Randy Seymour, because if he gets on, suddenly it's the best hitters in the Gulls lineup in Jack Doyle, then Breeny, then Duncan, then Williams, and then if my math serves me right, Nolan Stevens would represent the tying run.
Seymour is 1 for 3 as he loops this one over the head of Velasquez and into right field. That'll go as a single, potentially more. No, he'll stop the runner to third, and Sanford will stay right there. Back-to-back base runners here in the 9th as Newport is trying to put together what would be a miraculous comeback.
And first time Newport has had back-to-back base runners since the 5th.
They had multiple base runners in the 1st inning and the 5th inning. Other than that, it has been quite the quiet night for the Gulls as now Jack Doyle comes up with runners on the corners. And 2 outs here against Ryan Douglas. Doyle 1 for 3, a hit in that 5th inning. Was erased on a fielder's choice. Walk and a single have kept this inning alive. First pitch is a fastball down the heart of the plate for strike 1 from the righty from Stonehill College. A 1 grounded foul, and now the count 0-2. Second time that Douglas has been a strike away. First time was against Matt Sanford, who's off a 3rd. Here it's an 0-2 count, some pitches to waste if Douglas needs them. But he is looking for strike 3, not trying to turn this over to the top of the order for the Gulls. The 0-2 in the dirt. Barcy blocks it, keeps the runners at bay, and the count to 1-2. The Sanford dugout ready to explode here after game 1. Go out on the field, get to the handshake line. But we'll wait another second as the plate is wiped of the dirt.
Yeah, there's another pitch. The umpire might have to restrain the Sanford bullpen which is practically on the field at this point.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 outs. Game 1 of the NECBL Championship Series. This one grounded to Bain at third. Going to be a tough play. He's going to eat it. It's an RBI single for Jack Doyle, and Newport puts a run across here in the bottom of the 9th.
And man, I have to feel like even if the Gulls can't come back, that 3-2 pitch to Matt Austin and before that, the 2-2 borderline pitch that he held off on might turn out to be instrumental in the ending of this season, because for the first time all night, the Gulls have a run on the board, and for the first time all night, the momentum is with Newport.
Sanford is hoping it's too little too late for the Gulls and that they do not string more hits together, as Nico Brini, who's got 2 hits himself in 4 at-bats, comes to the plate.
Yeah, obviously still a massive mountain to climb for Newport. Just got to take it 1 pitch, 1 batter at a time, and you never know what can happen. That first run finally put across this crowd with something to cheer about. It's not over till it's over. We've seen crazy things.
Yes, we have. We think back to Vermont Mountaineers and Bristol in the regular season, an 8-run 9th inning. We think back to the 8-2 rally in Game 1 of the playoffs for the Newport Gulls, coming back against the Valley Blue Sox. Douglas hoping that doesn't happen here tonight. Brini lays off the first pitch for the first time tonight, and it's a ball 1.
Gulls have come back from down 7 one time this year. That was their home opener against Vermont. They did end up losing that one in extras.
Next pitch popped up. Bade gives it a chase, but it's well out of play. Count evens at 1-1 to the leadoff hitter in Brini. On his way to Wofford after 2 years with the Yukon Huskies. It's the Stonehill Skyhawk. The righty on the mound, stepping off before his next pitch. He got the first 2 outs with ease, a strikeout and then a ground out. Just about 5 pitches, but then a walk and 2 straight singles have put Newport's first run on the board at 7-1 here in the bottom of the 9th at Cardines. 1-1, misses outside, and the count is 2-1. Fans that are still here in attendance trying to help the rally get behind their goals. Next pitch is popped up. Left side, Schaff got it, and Sanford takes Game 1. They head back to Sanford tomorrow night with a chance to clinch the NECBL Championship and keep the Fay Vincent Senior Cup right at Goodall Park, where it'll be in the building tomorrow. The Newport Gulls will look to bounce back in Game 2, but a commanding first game goes in favor of the home team. The team in green and yellow wins 7-1 over the Gulls, and they go up 1-0 in the series. We'll come back to Cardines Field in just a couple of moments to wrap this one up against 7-1 in favor of the Mainers.
Hey, Tom, will you just let me know when I'm good to toss? Perfect. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you. We're back here in Newport. There you see the Newport Gulls huddling up and hoping to refocus and bounce back for Game 2 tomorrow night at Goodall Park as the Sanford Mainers really cruise to a dominant 7-1 victory on the road. I'm Sam Reese, currently alongside Riley Daniel. And Riley, it was really only going one way the entire night. Sanford rolling throughout.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't really in doubt from that 6th, 7th inning on. And I think you got the feeling from the gun that once he got out of that first, Connor Ball was borderline unhittable.
Yeah.
And the Gulls really just never got the offense going. We saw a little burst of life in that first, in that 5th, in that 9th inning, but just the inability to string hits together, and you follow that up with stranding 8 runners on base in a game you lose 7-1, and you wonder what it's going to take to beat this Mainers team, because you look up at that scoreboard, 15 hits, not an error. This is a team that is playing with very few errors, and right now it's a real question what it's going to take if the Gulls want to send this series back to Cardines for a Game 3 Friday.
Right, Newport will have to do it on the road tomorrow. It'll be a chance to clinch a title at home as well for the Sanford Mainers. Tomorrow night, it'll be a 6:30 first pitch, another game also on ESPN Plus as we get ready to send things down to the field here at Cardines Field. We got Justin Chevalella down on the field with a player interview. Justin, down to you.
Player of the game, Connor Ball. Connor, exceptional stuff tonight. 7 shutout innings, 4 hitting the Newport Gulls. What was going right for you on the mound tonight?
I was able to get ahead, and my defense was stellar behind me. And Colin Barsey behind the plate called a great game.
You struggled a little bit with your pitch count, 27 first inning pitches, but after that you were economical the rest of the way. What was Newport able to do in that first inning, but what were you able to do the rest of your 7 innings out there?
Honestly, I was able to find the zone a little bit better, and my stuff ended up working a lot better as I went out there more.
You already talked about Colin Barsey behind the plate, but it was his hit that got the offense jump-started. He's been exceptional for you guys all season long. What can you say outside of just his hitting abilities, but also his catching abilities? He caught a phenomenal game for you tonight.
Oh, you're a stud! He's a great player all around, all-star MVP, Colin Barsey. He's the man. He's literally the man.
You guys go back to Goodall Park tomorrow with the chance to have the 3rd Fay Vincent Senior Cup come to Sanford. What's the vibe of the group right now? What's the message for all of you guys?
We're just playing gritty baseball right now, and we'd love to take it back home and win the ship there.
Connor Ball, 7 shutout innings, 4 hitting the Newport Gulls. Sanford takes Game 1. The win the moment player of the game, Connor Ball.
All right, thanks so much, Justin. What a game from the Mainers and Connor Ball in particular, which we highlighted. The final line for him, 7 innings of scoreless baseball, just 4 hits allowed, 2 walks, 5 Ks. And on the topic of pitching, that played a crucial role in tonight's game, Riley. So looking ahead to Game 2, it'll be a big task for Newport starter, projected to be Cole Cheatham in a do-or-die game for the Gulls.
Yeah, we've seen a lot from Cole Cheatham in this year. We've seen him with his best performance of the year in that first-round game in the clincher against Valley. We saw him step up with 5 innings of only 1-run ball. But the question is that going to be enough? Because this is a Gulls team that had its bullpen taxed pretty considerably tonight. This is a Sanford team that has very good, very deep pitching. So it might be necessary for Cheatham to be able to go 6, 7 innings tomorrow. And can he do that? And then the question becomes, does he have any offense behind it? Because if he gets 1 run tonight, which the Gulls have only done 1 other time this year, I'd be willing to bet that that will not be enough. He's going to need 4 or 5 at least. The bats need to wake up, and we need another solid pitching performance if we want to have the privilege of another game back here at Cardines on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, it is a best of 3 for a reason as Justin magically appears back here in the booth. Great work down there with the interview, as always, Justin, as that puts a wrap on things here in Newport. And as we kind of close things out, now that you're back in the booth, your final thoughts on this one, Justin, because it was dominant tonight from the Mainers.
They got to follow that same recipe to for tomorrow. Not sure exactly who the starting pitcher is for the Mainers, but the one thing you know for sure is you've got the entire bullpen ready to go. Ryan Douglas won't be available tomorrow, but other than that, the rest of the Sanford bullpen, which has been lights out. So you think it's probably going to go the way of a bullpen game against these Gulls, but the offensive plan of attack has to stay the same. You don't always need the big hits.
Yeah.
You saw it tonight, just one extra base hit of their 15.
They got the job done in a big way for Sanford tonight. The Mainers, a chance to close out on home turf tomorrow. Goodall Park, the site for Game 2 of this championship series. Looking forward to being on the call with you for that one, Justin. Another game on ESPN+, 6:30 first pitch. The Gulls, with their season on the line, will try to force a Game 3, which would be back here in Newport on Friday. Well, that puts a wrap on things here from Cardines Field. A huge thanks, as always, to our executive producer of the NECBL on ESPN+, PJ Moynihan, who was in the house tonight with incredible camera work, getting the sights and sounds all around the ground. That was incredible work by PJ. We always thank his efforts, as well as our in-house producer and Tom Lima, our fantastic director, and Mike Basile, and everyone working so hard behind the scenes to make this incredible broadcast possible. A huge thanks to you guys, as always, for making our job easy in the booth. So for my analyst, Riley Daniel, and my other partner in Justin Chevalella, I'm Sam Reese saying so long from Newport, where Sanford takes Game 1 of the championship series 7-1. A reminder, all games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.